Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to another fantastic stream right here on YouTube on the Suzette Speaks show. I am your host, Suzette Speaks, and as you know, we have just started Black History Month, and I'm ready to delve into topics that impact Black people, the Black community as a whole, and today in specific, Black men. Now, as you can see, I am not a Black man, and I'm not going to be preaching to Black men or trying to tell Black men how to be in this world, what to think. Instead, I'm more curious to find out where they are in terms of their views on leadership. I know this is a little bit more of a, what should I say, academic kind of topic, and we're not going to make it too deep and in the weeds. But this topic came to me because I was discussing with some of my friends and colleagues regarding the shift that I think is going on in terms of Black men. And I think it's happening across both genders or all genders, let's say it that way. But I think it's something that I've seen in action, me personally, because I'm dealing with, I guess, both a Gen X as well as a millennial kind of a crew, a circle, both at work. When I'm endeavoring to be out there as I was before the pandemic in the community, there seems to be some principles that I see are shifting among Black men in terms of their leadership. And when I say leadership, I'm talking about character, integrity, vision for the community. And I know that in anecdotal conversations and in anecdotal, should I say, stories, there have been also some challenges for women when it comes to understanding the mindset of men, depending on the age range you are dealing with. I also have heard a lot of my colleagues and friends talking about the proverbial wait your turnism that's going on. And I think it was Gaston's World who had mentioned to me that brother Kevin Samuels had done a Black male, I think it was Appreciation Week, and was talking to some young men about it's not your time yet. And some of that piqued my interest because I really do think there is a shift going on, a shift in values, a shift in terms of the center or the seat of leadership. And I want to know who's ready for it. I want to know if my young men feel that it's time or that they feel like they have the skills, making the money, quite frankly, and have had the internal cultivation in order to be the moral leaders, as well as, I would say, political and otherwise, economic, political, moral leaders of our community. There is another part of this conversation that can go very deep in terms of women's roles in what how the male and women perspectives fit together in terms of the vision for the Black community. But today is not about women and our role to play. I really want to focus more so on the generational shift. Y'all hit the like button. The generational shift that I'm witnessing. Some have brought it to the manosphere before. I'm not the first person to talk about this, but I think next to relationships, this is a very, very, very important topic in terms of the future of our community. So I have some heavyweights waiting in the back. I'm going to say hi to a few people and then bring them right up. I have new folks. I wanted to get some new faces in the mix. So when I drop the link, please don't be too impatient with me because we have a lot of folks with a lot of different opinions about this. But I wanted to start from a place of understanding that shifts and generational shifts happen. It is not my intent to pit mindsets against one another because that's obviously never going to be productive. But more importantly, I do believe that there are things intergenerationally we can learn from one another as we try to hopefully move the community forward. So we're talking leadership today. I hope you guys are rocking with me. Hit the like button as you come in. I see so many, 39 comments already. Okay, y'all, I guess you're interested in this topic. I have gentlemen who consider themselves, I would say, the more senior leaders of our community. Been there, done that. Parents, grandchildren, married 10 years, 15 years, all kinds of experience coming to the table today. I'm so grateful. I see you, Uncle Stu, the old man on the block. I see you, Dr. Thunder, for the first time. I've been taking your content. Really admire what you're doing. And I also am excited to bring some of the future. Oh, Mixmaster Miko, sorry, met through Uncle Stu, the old man on the block. I see you in the back. I also see before the billions, a young man in the tech space, a content creator here to offer his voice and perspectives, as well as Gaston's World, a fantastic content creator. And I know Mr. Real Estate will be jumping in a little bit later. So we got some heavy lifting to do today, but I think we got the wrong combo of gentlemen here. Again, I'm here to listen and learn. I'm not here to impose my thinking on anyone. My goal here is to open up the conversation. It's Black History Month, and we need our men to be in their rightful places as leaders. Hello, somebody. I'm saying it again. We need our men to be in their rightful places as leaders. We've had some wonderful female leaders as well, but today we're going to spotlight the trends among men. I want to know where they feel the leadership is coming from now. I want to know what the leadership ethos is. And I'm sorry, my lawyer self is coming out. I'm going to break down my words a little bit more, but y'all hit the like button. It's going to be an interesting conversation. We have so many thoughts around this topic in the manosphere. Again, I guess manosphere. What do they call me? Manosphere alive. I think there's something buzzing around here. Manosphere. What was the word, Gaston? You'll type it in the chat. I know there was a word for it, but definitely a woman in a man's space today, and wanting to give these gentlemen the floor as we have this conversation from an intellectual perspective to understand where the thinking, old school versus new school, if you will, y'all saw the title, is going in terms of Black male leadership, right? And are we passing the baton? And if so, let's see what the future of our leaders looks like. All right. So come on in, hit the like button. Y'all know what to do. I'm bring them up shortly. I have a full manosphere adjacent. That's what it was. Thank you, Simsia. I didn't even like the title, but that's what y'all called me. So thank you very much. But I have a lot to learn, and I'm here to hopefully bring some light to a subject matter that I think about when I think about dating and finding relationships. Women want leaders. Hello, somebody. So I want you to offer. Hi, who was the first person today? Y'all drop a comment. I see you. Who was first? Who said second? Let's go. RM was here. Thank you, Wealth Engineering. Thank you so much for being here. Hit the like button as you come in. Whoop, whoop, says Simon Hectic, Mr. Real Estate. I don't know if my back is already full. I don't know if I got to pay more money to get more people in the back, but we going to rock with the gentlemen who we have right now. And of course, some of them will be rotating out as they have to leave, but we are going to have a conversation, like I said, between generational leaders, as far as where we go from here and how hopefully we are building, I guess, from the inside out. Where are our men in terms of leadership? Who are you looking at as your role models, right? Has there been enough mentorship? Is there ongoing mentorship? Because I know my young men are chomping at the bit, right? So we really want to talk about who is hopefully going to help develop. I'm talking about personal development. You guys know I'm big on that, and cultivate the minds of, and who is currently doing that in terms of the men in our community. All right, y'all ready? I'm going to bring them up again. This is a discussion about old school versus new school leadership. I have some heavyweights in the back waiting to come on. Again, there are some men that will have to leave a little bit early, but it will leave some space for y'all to come up and give your thinking and your thoughts. When it comes to political leadership, when it comes to community-based leadership in our churches and otherwise. Hello, somebody. When it comes to education, right, and economics. We really need to talk about it because there's some disparities or disparate thinking when it comes to, at least that I've noticed, when it comes to dealing with my Gen X and dealing with my millennial. And I want to see if there's some common ground and how we plan to move forward as a community. So are you ready for a great discussion? Good afternoon, Uncle Stu. He said yes right away. Thank you, Uncle Stu. I'm glad you're here. Hello, Miss AKA Lady, member of my Patreon. Let's go, says Dr. Thunder. Y'all check out his channel. I was like, okay, this brother, I need to brush up if we're going to pick a topic, sir, because you seem to be a very deep thinker. Of course, doctor is a real doctor and is an intellectual that I'm glad it can be a part of today's conversation. So I'm really excited to have him here for the first time on the Suzette Speaks show. First Gen Corporate, I see you. Salute to you, sir. Bernard S., I want you up later in the panel as we rotate folks, okay? Appreciate you. Chemo, what's going on? Why was I forced to watch a 30-minute ad? I did not put up any ads. Sorry. Mars Mitch, I see you, my brother. This is for the gentleman as we get into Black History Month. Masai, Wagwan. You like the new hair, girl? I was trying to do a little something different. Welcome. Thank you so much. Like, says Dr. Thunder. Share, comment. Thank you so much. Patreon members, thank you. I'll shout y'all out at the end. I saw a new one. Thank you, Friendsgiving, for joining my Patreon. I got to give you a proper big up. Thank you so much. I see you. Oh, yes, we have the neutral and the red a little bit going on this month. Agree, says Curtis. Thank you for being here. See, good to see you. I'm so glad. He's gonna be on my show. None other than law enforcement interpreter, as he calls himself. He is a law enforcement officer, and I've asked him to come on. He will be my guest February 12th, and I can't wait to have Real Deal Nathan Daly on. Thank you for being here. And if you want to come up later, please do come on up. I'm surrounded by the heavyweights today. Thank you so very much. Gail at Night, I see you. One of my fantastic moderators. Thank you for being here. Also a content creator in her own right. Thank you so much, Gail. Michael Miller, thank you very much. The news keeps putting up people that don't necessarily represent me. Hello. Talking about entertainers and sports leaders. Why is our community focused, or why does mass media want to ask our football and basketball players only when it comes to social issues? I get mad about that too. You're not the only one. We notice it because they're not asking our counterparts, white folks, in terms of baseball players, what they going to do about social justice. They don't do that. But here we are. And that seems to be the go-to when it comes. Yeah, I can't even get on this soapbox. Appreciate you, brother. Thank you for being here. All in fairness, your opinions are welcome. I'm here to listen, and I see the gentleman ready to go. Thank you very much, Reggie. See you. Good to see you. And I'm going to start adding y'all. Y'all can start to before the bill. As soon as I add you, you want to go? You want to take a break? Go ahead, take a break if you need to. You ready, Uncle Stu? You ready?
I'm ready.
Format right. Let me see how I'm gonna. No, it's like that. Let me see how I can bring the gentleman on. Y'all ready? Uncle Stu, the old man on the block. We'll start with you. Just take a little moment to introduce yourself, Uncle Stu. How you doing today?
I am doing well. This is Uncle Stu, the old man on the block, and I am just here to participate, give some of my knowledge, wisdom, and understanding on leadership after being both in the military, college, married, father, grandfather to be, son, brother. You name it, I've had to be it. So I'm here.
Excellent. Thank you, Uncle Stu. I'm going to just drop you down. I'm going to bring up Dr. Thunder. How are you, sir? Your first time here. Good to see you, sir. How you doing?
How are you doing?
Fantastic. Tell the folks a little bit about yourself if they haven't been able to go over to your channel just as yet. Y'all go subscribe. Tell us about yourself.
I've been married for 14 years. Last week, Wednesday.
Yay!
And so that's husband since 2008, as my shirt suggests. Yeah, I'm a musician, a professor, and a social commentator. And my content tends to center around, especially as of late, around Black men and boys, advocacy for said. And yeah, I mean, I'm eager to have this conversation. Leadership is an important topic, especially for our community.
Absolutely. Glad you're here, sir. Can't wait to hear from you. Mixed Master Miko, I'm going to bring you up next just to say hello to the people, let the people know who are our panelists, our first set of panelists. Introduce yourself. How are you?
Good. How you doing?
Fantastic.
Awesome. Well, I'm Mixed Master Miko. By the name implies, I'm a part-time DJ, but full-time electrical engineer. Unlike Dr. Thunder, I've only been married for 4.5 years, but still, working my way through marriage, which is awesome.
And, wonderful.
Oh, yeah. Fun.
All right. So 4.5 years strong. Very good. And looking forward to have you involved in this conversation. Let me get up to Gaston's World next. Welcome, sir. And Gaston's World, we see you. Y'all know Gaston's World. What's up? Oh, you muted. Let me unmute you, or you can unmute yourself. Go ahead. Yeah, start again.
I think we got it now, right?
Yes. How are you?
What's up to everybody in the chat? Suzette had me muted up. She tried to play me already, y'all. Y'all see what it is. Old school versus new school, man. But look, this is going to be a great conversation. I'm so glad to be here. You all already know me. It's Gaston's World. I have a YouTube channel where we're having these hard conversations. We absolutely want to have these conversations because this is the only way we can move our community forward. So I'm so glad you had me here. Thanks for having me up, Suzette.
Fantastic. And last but certainly not least, first round. There he is. How are you before the billions?
I'm doing well. How are you doing today, Suzette?
Fantastic. Can you give us a quick introduction?
Yes, I can. What's up, everybody? This is William from For the Billions. I am a professional data engineer, and on my channel, I teach you guys on how to get into the tech industry, go through many different discussions about different topics, and also go through interviews on my channel. I actually interviewed you, Suzette, a few months ago, actually. Oh, a month ago.
Yes.
Yeah, so
Fantastic. So I'm going to add
fantastic.
all the gentlemen. Thank you before the billion. Excuse me for interrupting there. I'm going to add all the gentlemen now, and we are going to start chit-chatting because I think there is some good meat in this subject matter that we can uncover and that we can hopefully expound upon. So I will just start with, I wanted to start with how is the exchange of information, of life experience, y'all hit the like button, get them likes up, please, happening, or is it happening actively? And if you guys would lend me your experience. For example, I feel like, especially among women, just kind of to give a comparison, there's a lot of emphasis on mentorship, listening to the older generation, figuring out what they've been through, understanding their formula, and hopefully learning from it. A lot of deference, a lot of respect in terms of women and women in leadership and women being more mature, taking the stand for us. I'll start by just asking, is that protocol today for Black men? Is that happening? Do you feel like there has been a mentorship, an exchange, and a deference being shown from the younger generation to those who are a little bit older and have gone before? Who wants to start?
I'll have to start. I'll go ahead.
All right, ask me then before the billions.
Okay, so no, right? I truly believe that men of my generation. I'm 31. I know before the billions, just a little bit younger than me. So men of our generation, were kind of pushed into the wilderness. Now I know before the billions has a father, so he has a different experience than a lot of us in the Black community.
Mm-hmm.
But too many of us grew up without fathers, and so we just kind of had to figure it out. And it seems that now we're in this generation of communication of everybody's on a smartphone, everybody's on YouTube, everybody's on some form of social media, and now there's like this impartment of wisdom that's trying to be kind of pushed into the younger generation of men. And it's like, where are y'all coming from all of a sudden? And it's like, it's not to say that it's not welcome, but it's just it's unorthodox. So it's kind of something to deal with. What about you, before the billion?
What do you see? What do you see? B2B before BTB. I always call you B2B. BTB.
It's all right. It's quite all right. So I gotta concur with Gaston. I mean, I'll say this: is that I did grow up with my dad to an extent, right? When I got older, then that's when everything started to kind of flow through. So, as an example, like I have learned so many different things from my dad, but I have learned even more from a lot of people who I've met on YouTube as well, because they have varying different experiences. So people like Uncle Stu, right? And then, I know I've been watching Dr. Thunder and Aiko Hiyami, and also on Ike's channel when they had their podcast. So I learned a lot from both of them as well. Gaston, of course, that's my boy. So, I learned a lot from him as well, because all these different experiences, like we went through our introductions, we have different upbringings and stuff like that. You can go through so many different things that you can just learn from how to deal with yourself, how to become a better man, how to deal with relationships, and also many different other things, like professionally. So yeah, you can learn a lot from older gentlemen. But when I was growing up, it was a little bit different.
In what way?
We didn't have social media like we do. So I didn't have like a Uncle Stu, Gaston's World, Dr. Thunder. And also, nice to meet your acquaintance as well, Mixed Master Miko.
Awesome. All right, to the gentleman on the bottom row, are you feeling that the young men in your lives, or the ones that you do have contact with, are open to mentorship and are taking your advice?
No, I'll take the lead on this one. Actually, yes. A matter of fact, I had at least two guys that I mentored. One was within my job, and was able to get him into a position where he's actually got on another team. He wanted to transfer the department, so I was able to get him out of the department he's in getting to where he wanted to get to and to help further his career. And then I also have a mentor outside of work that, we just chit chat and just kind of see where he's going along, how he's doing. And then a lot of that for me came from the older gentleman. Like I grew up with my dad as well. So a lot of the leadership and mentoring for me, that experience came from actually more outside the house, like through church and through professional work relationships.
Okay, so you yourself, in your growing up and in your formative young adult time, had good influence in terms of the older generation imparting into you. You felt through church and other ways, and you are now paying it forward through a couple of men, getting them, into in the professional realm as well as kind of just in life. Okay, cool. What about you, Dr. Thunder? What say you in terms of the impartation happening or not happening between generations?
Yeah, this is an interesting question because, in large part, my view is that folks that are my age and older, I think, have done a pretty poor job of mentoring, of being willing to share power. That's been a big issue. Shout out to Minister Japp. One thing that he talks about is the old comfortable Negro. All you had to do for the old comfortable Negro is give them a job and benefits. And once they had achieved a job and benefits, then they no longer would, be fighting for their community, be doing things to actually set up future generations. And so I think that we've done a pretty poor job of, in particular, sharing power. That's an important thing that you must do. You cannot just, do things the way that you want to do them. You have to also be willing to, as it were, work your way out of a job. And when you work your way out of a job, you're promoting the next person. You're allowing other people to lead. Now, that's not the same thing as allowing people that are not ready to lead, because I think that's a mistake that, frankly, a lot of churches make.
Yeah.
There is this sort of trending younger terminology that you hear. Now, the problem with trending younger is that we're all getting older. There's no such thing as trending younger. Okay? We're all getting older. The only thing that you can do in place of, quote unquote, trending younger in that auspices would be to promote people that are not ready to lead. Put people in positions where they don't have the expertise, they don't have the personal discipline or maturity to be able to handle leadership positions. That's the only thing they can do. So anyhow, that's my general thought on that.
So in terms of being ready, you think that the older generation or Gen X has not opened the door as widely or as readily to millennials as they probably should have, in terms of allowing the next generation to gain skills, gain tools, gain preparation and knowledge. Very, very interesting observation. What say you, Uncle Stu? Has there been an effective exchange happening between Gen X and the millennial generation?
I'm going to say yes, and I'm going to destroy a lot of narratives. Number one, you cannot use Jab's ideology in that perspective because, number one, we have to remember that the economy has totally shifted. Okay, this is no longer a let's go get a job and work at corporate America for the next 20 years. In the 90s, that economics had shifted in order for us, because what used to be a 20-year job prospect is no longer happening. Why? Because corporations in the 90s was beginning to start selling each other out. Therefore, those job prospects is no longer there. And now what you have is a totally different economic system. And therefore, with that new economic system, you cannot expect people who was working 20-year positions to understand how to develop and grow and build their own economic system, which is called entrepreneurship. Second thing that has to be understood is that no matter how old you are, you're going to get my age. So remember that the same sword that you swing today will be the same sword that will be swung on you tomorrow. Third, the other thing that has to be understood is exactly what is it that you are looking for. So when I say, what are you looking for? It is because I do have a platform. I do speak to every single generation. I do come from a prospect of both the church, the college, and living life. And so when you come from those perspectives, we have to understand what is the real sociological knowledge of the person in which you're dealing with. So when you come from that perspective, I come from a place called New York City. So we are extremely culturally, generationally, and ethnically diverse. So we cannot sit up here and generalize an entire generation of people. We must begin to take the knowledge and the understanding from where we are, and then we have to hold ourselves accountable for the lack of knowledge in which we have. Now, if you ask me a question, I'll be glad to answer. If you're looking for mentorship, it is not something that is imposed upon you. It is something you have to seek. A mentor is not someone that says, Gaston, I'm going to mentor you. No, Gaston has to man up and say, I see you, and therefore I want to be educated and mentored by you. Because as they would say, if I just come out and throw out my knowledge, then guess what? It is unwelcome. It is arrogant. It is a statement that cannot be totally done. That is not how mentorship works. Now, as far as my platform is concerned, based on the analytics, I am dealing with the generation before me and prior to me. Now, when it comes to that, I say a man that cannot lead a man is not a man. Because what I'm finding is that in order to be a man, you have to be able to lead a man. But the first man you have to be able to lead is yourself.
True.
So when we begin to learn how to lead in the failure, then we know how to lead in success. It is easy to point a finger, but how many comes back? So it is easy to say, well, I'm going to blame the next generation. I'm going to keep blaming this one and blaming that one. That already shows a weakness in your manhood, because the first thing you have to look at is yourself and analyze yourself and ask yourself, what part did I play in the failures of my own life? And then when I understand my weakness, I know what to look for in order to gather my strength. So for example, every failure I've had was not a loss, it was a lesson. And every lesson that I gained was a way in which for me to gather the wisdom. So for everything that I did not do, it taught me what to do. So we also have
Now,
to
Uncle Stu, this ain't a one-man show
I
now.
was about to say,
Uncle Stu,
hold on one second. Hold on. You know,
that's part of the problem with this old generation now.
Uncle Stu came ready, they said in the chat.
Yeah,
I love you, Uncle Stu.
I'm grateful, and I'm
one thing
gonna
I will
pause you.
say.
Let make your last point. I'm gonna pause you.
Okay.
I see you, Mr. Real Estate. I'm sorry, you were down at the bottom, so I will bring you up momentarily. Hold tight. I do see you. I saw you in the private chat. Thank you. Make your last point, because I want to pivot a little bit. Go ahead, sir.
I also have to live in the reality, and the reality is, when I was 20, I didn't necessarily want to listen to somebody 30 years older than me. You know, I'm 50. It's still sometimes hard for me to listen to somebody 30 years older than me. So I accept my position and play my position where it is.
All right.
And I am.
Thank you, Uncle Stu. Point well taken. Points well taken. Before the building, you said you had something real quick to add on or to respond. Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, I just wanted to respond to Uncle Stu. Uncle Stu, I disagree.
It's okay.
I disagree, because I think that mentorship, like, sometimes it's about planting that seed as well. It's about, like, maybe I say something to you, like, oh, you know what, you're not acting right, or you're not doing something correct, and then I can help correct you, right? Like when you see like O'Shea Duke Jackson trying to help correct Fresh and Fit as an example, right? Like you would be considered a mentor to me, right? Same thing for the coach clinician as his name pops up. Also like a lead attorney. I didn't necessarily seek you guys out per se to mentor me. I didn't have a conversation like, hey, Uncle Stu, mentor me. I said, you know what? I can listen to Uncle Stu, and I have been, in your community, and then without me even having to ask, you took on that responsibility of being a mentor. So and I'm appreciative of it, but I didn't, I disagree when you say that you have to seek it out. You actually seek me out.
Point taken. Point taken, because there's informal and there's formal. So I think what Uncle Stu was talking about is formal mentorship, where you actually go to a person, you're like, let's go out for a coffee. I would love to pick your brain. Let me understand what you've been through, how you did, your thing in life. What you're talking about before the billions is I can look up and I see another man and I could just take lessons from him. Thank God for YouTube. Now it was very different 10 or more years ago, where we didn't have, this beautiful space and the manosphere as we know it today. So your point is well taken before the billions. You were getting mentor, you're saying in an informal way from a distance, indirectly. So I'm going to ask both you, I'm going to ask Gaston's World, and I'm going to bring up Mr. Real Estate momentarily. I want to ask you, tell me about the values, the leadership values you feel like millennials have today. What do they consider to be, I'm asking you guys to speak from your own personal experience. Obviously you can't speak for all millennials, but what do you consider to be good leadership qualities? Let's start there, kind of define what we were talking about as far as leadership, and what makes you ready for leadership. Do you guys feel that you're ready? So there's a two-part question there. I want to ask, what do you define as great or good leadership qualities? And do you feel that you are ready to be a leader, say in your industry or in the community? I'll start with before the billions. I'll bring you up, Mr. Real Estate.
Right. So can you prepare for this one? I believe that communication is one of the biggest values when it comes to leadership, right? Being able to actually get your point across to somebody. And in addition to that, the fact that you would want to actually give over some of that information to other people, but not only just giving that information, but actually showing somebody, okay, this is how you do it, right? When I first wanted to change a tire, I didn't just sit up here and say, oh, you know what? My dad told me what to do to change a tire. He actually showed me how to do it, right? That's the leadership. That's the difference between the leader and maybe like the boss, right? The boss just tells you what to do. The leader shows you what to do and helps you with understanding how and why you need to do something.
Okay, so you're saying your view of leadership is a doer, a person who actively is trying to impart upon somebody else. That's what you're saying.
Correct.
Yes. Okay. So do you consider yourself a leader?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Come up, kosher, if you can. Come up, kosher clinician. Sorry, go ahead. So you consider yourself a leader as a doer?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
And as an example, right? I have my own YouTube channel and stuff like that where I talk about getting into the tech industry, but I also have it to where I am, in the gym, I'm, working out and stuff. And then people have messaged me and said, oh, but because you actually put this stuff out here, and people who are younger than me, and because not only have you been, working out consistently, putting it out there, you have motivated me to be able to go out there and do the same thing. Many people, I tell this all the time, is that I used to be 300 pounds and extremely out of shape. And then I was able to get down to 225 pounds through just consistent hard work and diligence, right? Because I can't sit up here and tell other people the importance of health and stuff like that if I am not actually working on it myself, right? If I'm not actually showing you that I'm doing these things, why would you even consider me as somebody who you would listen to?
Understood. So your leadership by doing is your primary attribute for leadership. Understood. I'm gonna go. Welcome, Kid Nardak. Welcome, Mr. Real Estate. I'm sorry, the way the YouTube, the StreamYard is set up, I didn't even see y'all at the bottom. Sorry. So I'll allow you to do your introductions momentarily. Define leadership for me, Dr. Thunder. I'm gonna go in between generations. Go ahead.
Yeah. So, so first of all, I want to say that it seems that Uncle Stu, some of his remarks may have been against certain things that I said. And maybe he's not aware of what my age is. My criticism was of me people my age, and actually could even be younger than I am and older. So that was my criticism. So I'm if the analogy holds, I'm already chopping myself with the sword. But I do want to continue by saying, as far as leadership goes, I think you need to understand what kind of leader you are. That's important. And now this is a sort of oversimplified and polarized sort of version of this, but there are A leaders and B leaders in general. A leaders and B leaders. And A leader tends to be pretty autocratic. Go do this. This is the specific thing you need to do. They're not necessarily asking, for your input. They just want you to go do particular things. The benefit of A-type leadership is that it is very efficient. Okay, you're not wasting time in meetings. None of that stuff is necessary. The leader understands all aspects of all the kinds of jobs that he manages, and so he can specifically say, "Do this, do that. This is how you do it." They can, they have a nuanced knowledge of all of the sort of jobs that they manage, so they can give you specific instruction. That's a type A leader. Then there's a type B leader, and a B leader is one that is going to be more collaborative. So I'm in academia, in music. I'm the director of jazz studies at my institution, and type B leadership is very useful because I have a lot of very creative folks that I manage. I don't want to be in charge of coming up with all the ideas. There's plenty of ideas. So mostly what I do is set up structures that help to organize things. And there is the whole thing about vision casting. Now, me personally, I'm an intuitive. So I don't actually need, like a list of things to tell me what to do, in order to be pretty organized and to be able to accomplish things. But as a leader, you need to realize that other people do need those things. And in order for people to follow you, you must be followable. A friend of mine, I don't know if you know the Minimalist podcast, but he's a frequent collaborator with them. His name's TK Coleman. We've been friends for forever. Anyhow, there was a show last night, and so I was able to go and hang out with him. But something happened. So the day before we met, and then I went over to his the hotel that he was at so we could grab something to eat. And we both said, you know what? Give me the address, so we both could have the benefit of GPS coordinates. The map program could tell us what's going on, so that if we got separated as I was following him, it would be no big deal. But in addition to giving me the address, and I had the GPS going, when he went through a light and it turned red, he noticed that, so he stopped. He waited for me, and then I caught back up to him, and then we continued on. This is an example. This is an example of being followable. You know the saying, if you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go far, you must go together. You must go together. So anyhow, A leader and B leader. A leaders tends to be more autocratic. B leader tends to be more collaborative. I'm naturally more of an A leader, and I learned how to become a B leader.
Collaborative. So I'm thinking also back in my marketing class days, theory X, theory Y, theory Z sounds like. When it comes to the type of leadership, I don't know if I'm getting in the weeds if y'all know what I'm talking about, but in terms of giving people a choice and allowing them to kind of be a part of the leadership and decision making, as opposed to, as you said, more direct and kind of more, I guess, professorial and kind of telling people and setting out the vision and casting the vision, as you said. There is some Great nuggets in that. I saw a comment that said leadership. Let me ask you that, Dr. Thunder, and I'm going to go to Uncle Stu, and I'm going to bring in Kid Nardoc. And I'm sorry, I'm sorry. You want to?
We ain't skip it to the old folks because that's what y'all like to do.
Hold on now, please. Listen, I won't forget you. You're right. You're next. I want to ask Dr. Thunder, do you feel like leadership and age correlate?
Okay, so you know this phrase, this common term that we hear, wiser than their years. Such and such is wiser than their years. So there's a problem with that. Here's the problem: you can't actually be wiser than your years. However, what you can be is you can be a person that actually takes advantage of all the opportunities to learn, as opposed to what most people do, which is, everything is going past, past them in one ear, out the other ear. They're not processing any information. They can't be bothered, all of that kind of stuff. That's what most folks do much of the time. Those that actually learn, they are esteemed wiser than their years. Now, they're wiser than average for their age, but they're not wiser than their years.
Yeah. So
I think a distinct benefit of being older, if you have actually used the time to actually become better, and is that you would necessarily have a larger pool of information, and would naturally be a better leader. That's not necessarily the case.
Always true across the board. Understood. No. Mm-hmm. I understand what you're saying. So typically, if you are using that time wisely, what they say, I think it was Mediocre Tutorials and Reviews said, a smart man learns from his mistakes. A wise man learns from other people. So I hear you that you can't really know more than, your experience has allowed you, unless you're trying to learn from others. And you can be older and not having had invested the time to better oneself and to enhance one's leadership abilities. So you don't necessarily need to be older to be a leader. But as you said, you do need some modicum of experience to understand what you know and what you don't know. Gaston's World, go ahead real quick. Sorry about that.
Yeah, no, I wanted to go real quick because I know you got TKC in the back, and he wanted to come up too. So okay, I was going to drop down so you could bring him up. I didn't know if I had.
I didn't see that. Thank you. The closure clinician is in the building, Gaston, but I want you to stay in the back too. Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Cool. No problem. And so, am I a leader? Yes. And I like Dr. Thunder's, analogy of A-type leaders to B-type leaders, in that I feel like in our community, a lot of the older leaders are A-type leaders, in that they're going to lead who they want to lead, how they want to lead, and that's pretty much it. And that the younger generation are B-type leaders because we were raised, to be communicative, to work together. Shout out to the Before the Billions, Mr. Real Estate, Simcia, men in my generation, we're all kind of meshing together, gelling together, and maybe because we have similar interests and things like that. But and
your social conditioning is similar based on the generation you're in. Yeah.
Right. Mm-hmm. And so even though I'm in Georgia, Mr. Real Estate's in Oregon. Oregon. Yeah. So we have no issue coming together to work together to build things up. And then if you were to ask an older man, for example, hey, we really want you to be a part of this. And not to say, because obviously you all are here, so thanks for being here. But a lot of times when you ask an older man just for like one-on-one help, if they don't see a value in it for them, it's kind of like, well, why would I help you? You need to either pay me and let's be real, either pay me, especially if they feel like they've had the experience and the value that goes with it. You're going to either pay me or you're going to bring some real value to whatever I'm doing that shows me that it's worth my time. And like I said, we all, Before the Billions, myself and Mr. Real Estate, we all have our own individual endeavors, but we make time for one another. And I feel like a lot of times in our generation or in our community, the older generation makes time for what values them, whereas the younger generation, makes time for each other. And so, and it doesn't really matter what age you are. If an older man came to me and said, hey, teach me how to set up a YouTube account, I wouldn't be like, hey, well, you got to pay me $20.
You wouldn't be like that. You wouldn't be like that. Some of them smiling because they saying, really? That's what, really? The younger generation?
I know for a fact. No, I know for a fact.
A lot do for sure. A lot do.
I know
I'm gonna
for a fact, real quick. I know for a fact before the
Go ahead.
Billions and Mr. Real Estate wouldn't, right? They would just
Yeah, I
say,
wouldn't
okay,
charge
hey,
for
let's
it.
get this set up.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
so, you know, but yeah, I'm
Absolutely.
gonna drop down so you can get Dr. Thunder. So you
The
can get
the culture clinician up. All right,
And
stay
I'll
in the
be in the
back for
back.
me. All right, thank you very much, Uncle Stu. I'm going to go to you next, and then the two new gentlemen that I have not had a chance to allow to speak yet. Please go ahead, Uncle Stu. Thank you,
Okay,
guys.
my joke is before the Billions, Mr. Real Estate, your financial stuff is now cut off. Now I want my free work. No more cash apps, none of that. But he said y'all supposed to do it for free. So
Oh,
before
Lord.
the Billions, you get on Gaskins-Borough about stopping your income.
And that's
All
what
right?
It's
It's
like,
recorded.
whoa.
We got
we
it
wouldn't,
clipped
we
now.
wouldn't pit each other against each other either. So,
No, sir. You
hey, you
stop
know, it is
before
what
the
it is.
Billions check.
All right, your point in terms of what defines a leader. What are the values of a leader?
That's
Tell
divisive.
me about
Uncle
what
Stu.
you think, Uncle Stu. Go ahead, and then I'm going to Mr. Real Estate, and then Kennard.
Drop me.
Okay.
I believe both before the Billions, what Dr. Thunder had to say, A and B, before the Billions, you definitely have to have the ability to communicate. You have to be teachable, as well as you also have to be able to teach. And, you know, as far as does age has a factor? No, because I know a lot of old fools. So I'm not going to always sit there and say, oh, everybody my age can lead. Absolutely not. But I always say you have to be teachable and you have to have the ability to teach. Coming from the military, you always train and teach up. When I say teachable, sometimes I don't have to know it all. I just have to know where to get the information from and be able to execute it. So, you know, there's so many different factors in leadership, but I would definitely agree. Your volume is off.
Thank you. All right. So mainly to be teachable and to teach. I hear that as a theme. And I think I'm going to ask you for a quick response. Do you think you see that both in Generation X and Millennials as a whole, broad stroke?
I think it would be disingenuous because I only deal with 20, 30 something in my private life.
Okay.
And I only deal with a lot of millennials in my social network. I would say that I see leadership in every single generation. And I've seen that all my life, that you've had young, you've had middle, you have old. I'm from the military, so leadership is all around me. It's just a matter of what it is that you're looking for. So if I'm looking for someone that knows computer programming, they can lead in computer programming. If I need someone that can do, you know, certain types of engineering work, they lead in that. If someone is in real estate, so it all depends on exactly what form of leadership I'm looking for.
Absolutely. So you've seen it across the board. Mr. Real Estate, let's get you involved, sir. Welcome. Do a quick introduction. I'll turn on your volume, sir. I think there's a little bit of an echo. Go ahead, sir.
Is the audio okay?
Yes. Go ahead.
Perfect. Well, hey, it's Mr. Real Estate here. Just dropping by to lend my opinion. You know, I am part of the new school, pretty new to these YouTube streets, but I definitely like to share my insight with you all. The first thing I'd like to touch base on is Gaston's recent comments. He was saying how, by and large, we see the older generation doesn't really want to share knowledge for free. They don't really want to participate in free mentorship. It's kind of payola mentorship, where hey, you know, here's my fee, here's my service, and you can either pay it or you can go. And that's not everybody in the community. I mean, we have exceptions to the rule, like Uncle Stu and other people that we know. But by and large, I've reached out to many folks that are within the older generation, and I found that they really didn't want to help unless they saw an incentive in it for themselves. And most of the mentorship that I ended up receiving throughout my sales career was kind of within the realm of transactional leadership. You know, we're doing business, we have a coincidence of wants, so maybe you impart some additional knowledge to help me on my journey. But by and large, you know, I haven't really seen a lot of people in that older community who want to just reach behind them and teach the next man.
Okay, so I hear a little bit of an echo. I'm not sure whose volume is up loud, so double check. I don't think it's yours. But mute if you're not speaking, because I hear it in the screen. So how do you define leadership then? So you're saying you're not getting any formal mentoring. You happen to be in a business transaction. Obviously, you're in real estate. And if somebody throw you a bone, they throw you a bone. If you're going to get hands-on, full-on, let me teach you the game, you say you have to pay for it, basically.
Yeah, and the only mentorship that I've got that wasn't within that forum was from my father. I was raised by a single father of four, so that definitely fights the stereotype out there of fathers not being there in the community. But yeah, I mean, my dad taught me a lot of things, and even still, when it comes to filling in the gaps between what your father teaches you and what you still need to know, I mean, a lot of my mentors were digital. Yeah, I mean, and somebody still has the
I know, I
video
hear a
playing in the
little something.
background.
That's okay. I'm gonna go to Nardak next. I hope I'm saying your name right. I hope I'm saying it right. How are you? Long time no see, my brother. How you doing?
I'm doing fine. Nice to see you, brothers. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. What would you like to add? First, introduce yourself. Tell us what you do real quick. And then where do you receive your mentorship? Are you a mentor? Are you receiving mentorship? Tell us where you land in this leadership discussion.
You know what? It's probably a combination of all of those things. I'm one who tends to recognize teaching moments and then will engage that if need be. And then also I recognize when it's an opportunity to be taught. It's kind of different. I remember, attending Ralph's, going into the store, and I saw this young kid. He was selling candies in front of the store, and he wasn't really well put together. Had a hoodie on. His approach was kind of off. And so I took the opportunity to tell him, you know what, maybe if you put a shirt and a tie on and have a different presentation, you might actually make a little bit more cash. And then I just proceeded to go into the store. And not long after that, that's what he did.
That's what's up.
So it's just those little bitty sprinkles. I think there's teaching moments all across.
Absolutely.
You just have to recognize when the opportunity presents itself to kind of impart knowledge. And it doesn't necessarily have to be in anything that you say. It can be in something that you do, going
Absolutely.
back to the idea of leading by example. But in terms of, the idea of have we passed on the baton or has the baton been passed? I would say yes and no. It's just the baton has had spikes on it.
What that mean?
Meaning you're running and you got the baton, you pass it to the hand, it's got spikes, so then it cuts the hand and it's bleeding. So people are running, they're bleeding, they're focusing on their bleeding hands rather than the point of winning the race. So now conversations like this, this YouTube space and other spaces are kind of shifting the mold into a different direction. And there could be a major course correction. I think we underestimate the power of the internet.
No, the internet has changed the game in terms of the mentorship. And I think before the Billions made that point. Welcome to the Culture Clinician. How are you? Thanks for stepping away from the clients for a hot second. How you doing, my brother? Good to see you again.
Can you guys hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes. How you doing?
I'm doing great, I'm trying to listen to this timely discussion about leadership and entrepreneurship as well. So if you can refresh me a little bit, I was trying to listen.
Yeah, so I'm here just asking the gentlemen, depending on their points of view, I'm not going to label anybody, any age or any generation, but we're trying to talk about the exchange that needs to happen and evaluate whether it's happening and in what way. Is the younger generation ready to take this baton? Quite frankly, was one of my questions. I also want to know what the Gen Xers are doing to actively help to shape and mold them. And if that's not happening, what can we do about it, both informally and formally? And I wanted to know, is the strength of Black leadership, Black male leadership, is it continuing to get stronger? Do you see it have a change in values? Is it still operating from the place of integrity? I know how my grandpa operated. I know how my daddy operated. These men were men of integrity. Right. There was their bond. They protected families. They looked out for the stranger's kid. They quietly corrected where they could, like Kid Nardak just added. But they saw themselves as leaders when they were stepping out the door. So I want to know if that is still the case in terms of our millennial men. And if that's not, why not? And how do we ensure the baton is being passed so that the next generation is empowered to step into some of these roles that they're going to be in quicker than we realize? 10 years going to pass like a blink of an eye. And if they're carrying on what I see as traditional African-American male, leadership principles. That's what I want to know.
Well, listen, I will say in part, yes. In whole, no. I was saying whole no. The new generation has been conditioned to more or less acquiesce to a philosophy called me fi me. So when it comes down to them
What you
doing
say,
what's
me
best for
fi
them,
me? So you gotta speak
yeah,
up.
me
Say it
fi
one more
me.
time.
I would
What?
say that the newer generation is conditioned. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah, they're more conditioned to do something called me fi me. So their leadership is based on doing what's best for them. And I would say that takes a modicum of leadership to step outside the norm, where more or less Gen X's and Boomers were conditioned to serve for year after year as it relates to working in a functional job. So I would say in that instance, they have a modicum of leadership, but from a comprehensive perspective, because they have never seen true masculinity or seen what's called a communal of elders where the word was bond and men say what they say. Because I'm from that generation. If I tell you I'm going to do something, I do it. Word is bond. I got you. I'm gonna look out for you. I don't know if this generation more or less takes the integrity of a man's word over their temporary feelings, because many times they see so many, they're more or less embedded by social media and quickness and fastness. So true leadership is about being a servant, the servant leader. The servant leader does not put his own mission above the mission of the greater picture. So I don't know from 100% in a comprehensive manner if the newer generation is quite ready to lead to that level of expectations. In part, yes, but holistically, I would say no, because true leadership comes from masculine men. Where's the masculinity in the community where 80% of our children are being raised without single fathers? So I would say in part, but from a comprehensive perspective, I would say no.
Okay.
Can
So
I
go ahead. I know Mr. Real Estate wanted to add something. Mix Master Miko, you haven't spoken in a while. Please go ahead.
Oh, you can just call me Miko for short. Just make it easier for everyone.
Miko, okay.
Just kind of follow up on Kosher. Good to meet you. You're
Yes,
just
sir.
based on when you speak, when you say younger generation, can we break that down a little bit? Because we have, like myself, I'm an earlier millennial, and then we have Gen Y behind me, Gen Z
Right,
behind me. So
right.
Zennials.
Millennials, yeah. So
Mhm.
which level of generation are you referring to with younger people?
Well, I would say, listen, they've done studies where they said millennials, and I don't want to castigate aspersions against millennials. I'm not trying to do that, but there have been some contingent research to say millennials are one of the most selfish generations. And listen, some of it's by default. You can't help the vacuum that you were born in. You guys were born with technology. You guys were born with technology we can only have dreamed of as Gen X's. Me and Uncle Stu and Dr. Thunder, and I think Suzette, she's a customer. But we're Gen X's.
I'm a little bit between. Don't get in my business like that, Coach. Don't get in my business like that. Okay, but go ahead, sir. Yes, sir. Go ahead, sir.
She's a customer, so I think some of it is inevitable based on your social conditioning. Fast results, quick results. But once again, where's that fire of integrity that resides within to say, I don't want quick results. I'm going to do it the hard way. Like E.F. Hutton, I earned it. And so, once again, I think the newer generation has not been adequately prepared to take on the mantle of leadership from a comprehensive perspective because they've never seen it. True masculinity was based on word is bond. Me and Uncle Stu and Dr. Dunner, we saw that. But, your generation really have not seen true masculinity, and I'm not saying masculinity as a whole has been more or less comprehensive as well. But we had a greater modicum or a greater mantle of masculinity in the past, in my opinion, compared to now, when there's so many movements that's counterintuitive to what's called true masculinity. So I would say in part, yes, as it relates to you guys doing what's best for you all. You all have taken on that leadership mantle where you say, look, if this job is not going to work, I'm going to get a job that's going to do me. So you are like, I would say selfish leaders. You do what's best for you. But in the past, I would say that we did what was best for the community in the whole. And some could argue it was because we had limited opportunities. That might be true. But the newer generation doesn't fight through adversity as long as the old heads. We did what we had to do to take care. Your generation, in my opinion, when things go wrong, some, not all, because I don't want to cast aspersion to the millennials.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do me for me. I'm gonna keep it moving. I'm not gonna keep doing this crap. Now, I will say the thing I love about millennials and Zennial men, they don't tolerate the disrespect the Gen X's tolerate as it relates to women. But that's part of the me for me conundrum. I'm going to do what's best for me, and if it doesn't work or benefit me, she got to go. So it's a duality. In some areas, I would say yes, but comprehensively, like the icons from the past, I would say no, because the men from the past were, in my mind, true men. When it came down to manual labor, when it came down to mental dexterity, that generation of men were mentally tough. we did what we had to do. But when the tough gets tough and the going gets going for the newer generation, they'll quit.
We know there are exceptions to that rule. As he said, there is going to be everybody not necessarily aligning with everything he just said, but as a kind of broad brush stroke.
It's a broad brush stroke, right?
Yeah.
Right.
I see Uncle Stu hand. I saw Mr. Real Estate in the private chat, and he throwing he said, I'm gonna be heard. I'm gonna be in the chat making my point, Mr. Real Estate. Can you make it quick though? Because I want to give Uncle Stu a chance to also respond, saying I believe, and again, it doesn't have to be necessarily like a point for point, but say that millennials are more as a whole, more focused on self and less community is a very interesting point. So Mr. Real Estate, I see that you have a different point made in the chat. Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, so real quick, when we talk about the clickbait statistical numbers that are thrown out about the millennials being lazy or being selfish, first of all, these are not millennials exclusively within our community. These are millennials in general, every race, every culture, every creed. I thought we were here specifically talking about leadership in our community. And when we talk about the fact that this man says that he doesn't think that the next generation is ready to lead because we're not masculine and we're not leaders and we haven't been taught how to do that. Well, you are the generation that is in the power of leadership. So if you haven't taught us how to do that, whose fault is that? Really?
Well, let me stop you a little bit.
Who picked up the baton after Martin Luther King, Malcolm X? Y'all is bought and paid for by corporate interests, COINTELPRO agents. What true leaders do we have in our community right now?
Okay,
Point one of them out.
Pause. What we're gonna do is keep this productive. And I hear your passion, and I hear that you're saying, don't put me in that group. I hear you.
But once again, as I said, I did not caste type this young man. I say in general. I'm not saying that's all millennials. Sure, there's a sprinkling of millennials that are ready to run with the baton. But if you listen, I say clearly, comprehensively, as a cohesive whole. I would say it's a cohesive whole. No. Are there some randomized samples that are ready to take the lead and move? No doubt. But you can't do that when you don't have what's called the galvanization of elders and men in general to help. Your generation have never seen. I don't think your generation have seen what Suzette's generation has seen, and my generation saw. That's no disrespect to the millennials. You can only become what you've been made of. And when you say, what are we doing? Well, listen, I was not a part of the problem, but I will say this: for the last 25, 30 years, I was a special ed teacher educating Black boys. I've been a mentor for the last couple of years. I worked in law enforcement mentoring boys. I've been mentoring boys for years and men. And the show that I'm doing now, the coach clinician, also a therapist, is a form of informal and formal mentorship. So I've been grinding. I've been helping young men for a long time. But I cannot suffer from the social malfeasance of women that got with dusty men that produce men that were not ready to lead. So I would say comprehensively, I don't think the newer generation is ready to lead 100%. Are there pockets or a couple of what I call stallions in the mix that can do it? No doubt. I would say, young man, you are a leader, Mr. Real Estate. But I'm not saying that you. I think you are. I don't think you make the whole. I think you're just a percentage of those men that are ready to lead. But overall, comprehensive, I would say no, not at all, compared to my generation.
Thank you, sir. And I'm going to defer now to Uncle Stu had a point, but I'm going to read the super chat. Thank you for the super chat. Andrew Walker in the building. Thank you. The world has forced some of us into self-isolation, and I would call it individualism. I would call that as well, that Black people have not been spared this narrative of individualism. And I think it plays into some of what the culture clinician has mentioned. It's not an indictment of everybody, but the American psyche has been penetrated by this thing called individualism, and we have not been exempt as Black folks. Okay. So not feeling needed in a corporate sense. I hear you. As a 45-year-old, I have been caught up in the transition, but I see where we are lacking. I hear you. So there's what Uncle Stu described as change in the economy, right? In terms of capitalism and where the job market went in terms of being able to collect a pension and being guided into by the older generation in a model that they were more confident in it at the time, which was to go get a job and retire. Obviously, things have changed drastically, and this new version of the American economy requires you to be far more agile. New skill sets are involved, et cetera, and entrepreneurship plays a big role. So there has been a whole change from where men who economically would have led millennials have to really almost look at the millennials like as, okay, what are y'all doing? Because we are in a different economy. We are in a different way of making money. So I hear your point there, Andrew, and there's a lot of distinction in terms of the economic forces playing a role in terms of the leadership transfer. I hear you. I hear this is a very good point. I see the super chat before the billions. You on the panel and you send the super chats? Appreciate you, brother. Before the billions on the panel with the super chat. This is great to thank you before the billions. I appreciate the love. I'm gonna ask. I like Mr. Real Estate's question. I'm going to you, Uncle Stu. Y'all come forward with the answer for my question after him. I want to know, who do you consider to be the leaders in your life? Who are the leaders currently? That's what I want to know. Who are you looking to, as grown as some of y'all are, for leadership? And who do you think this generation is actually considering to be their leaders? All right, I want to dig in a little deeper in that. Go ahead, Uncle Stu. How are you?
I'm doing well. I think what was missing in the conversation is, number one, what generation are we talking about? Because are you talking about baby boomers?
Nah,
no, let me tell you why. Because
a
lot of Gen X's never worked these alleged 20-year corporate jobs. See, I think what's happening in the intellectual sphere is that we don't have a proper understanding of history. Meaning, a lot of people that, let's say, a Mr. Real Estate would be upset with, or before the billions, it's really people in the civil rights era is that section that I hear a lot of the argument, which is a legitimate argument. It's a very legitimate argument, because I have the same argument, is that you have a lot that is in that generation. They're the ones that's in Congress. They're the ones that's in these high, quote unquote, levels. So
80 years old and Congress people, and ain't told nobody and show nobody how to do nothing. I'm sorry. So I hear you. So you're saying it might even be beyond Gen X. I hear what you're saying.
So that's where I would even join in with the younger generation to say,
y'all ain't even get it for me. You still waiting on it. So what we gonna do? Kosher has about 5 minutes. I'm gonna go back to him and come back to you, Uncle Stu, if you don't mind, because then I'll bring up Gaston's World again. Kosher, I know you got a time. Hey, real Nathan Daly in the back. All right, Kosher, I'm gonna give you 5 minutes, sir. I know you got so much.
I'm gonna have to get going pretty soon, also.
Okay, all right.
Thank you. If I could maybe say something after Kosher.
Yes, absolutely. Go ahead.
Well, I just think this is a great conversation. I think that that part of leadership is due to iron sharpening iron. Christ himself was a leader, but he was a divine leader that was appointed by God. Everybody don't have that kind of how can I say it? That kind of gifting. But I think that there are many gems that are uncovered also in men. But if you don't have the men to more or less help push that out of the younger generation of men, then how can we see true comprehensive leaders if they have not been pushed to leadership? There are some seeds that need to be germinated so they can become the exemplars like men of the past. And I would argue unequivocally that in the past we had communities. We had communities, then we had a tribe of elders that more or less helped push other men to greatness. My argument now is that you don't have that germination process. You don't have that process of elders when men come together to galvanize the younger men to come together, and we don't have community anymore. And I think that's one of the reasons why that we're beginning to see mental health on the rise, because we don't have communities like we did in the past. The safe haven, the safeguard in the past was the community. The environment plays a role in the mental functioning, shaping of individuals, boys and girls. But if we don't adequately have those proper safeguards in place, you can have leaders with arrested development, meaning they have the potential to be leaders, but they have not been galvanized or cultivated to become the leaders they need to be because they have not had the proper shaping. And, it goes back to what I was saying before in the past, that gold without fire never becomes pure gold.
So I'm going to ask you, just before you go, if you are saying our men have not necessarily had the opportunity to be cultivated fully, say you didn't grow up with a dad, say you didn't grow up with an uncle or your grandpa or whoever, where now would you suggest a millennial man, thank you for the age ranges, Gaston's World, go, or what should they do to get that mentorship?
Wow, that's a good question. Where should they go? Well, first of all, these conversations that we're having in these spaces is the first initial point that I would say. What I'm doing as a licensed therapist is, I'm a licensed clinical therapist, LCSW, And what I'm doing in these spaces is giving men, actually what I'm giving is free because, some people charge. But I'm giving it to the young brothers for free, giving them free game on how to become better men. So I would tell some of the men, go check out me, go check out Uncle Stu, check out Dr. Thunder. And also check out some of the younger content creators. They want some comprehensive game about life, how to become men, how to more or less recalibrate their thinking and become better versions of themselves. In the community, at the meso level, I would say, find men in your community that you find the exemplars of leadership. But once again, the question remains, where are they? Do they exist? And if they do exist, do they have the proper access to get those men? I think now with this cyber network, this is one of the best times in human history for men to come together and congregate and do what we did in the old days, which was, this is synthetic barbershop. In the past, it was a literal barbershop where men would come together.
Now you have the virtual barbershop. Real quick, before you sign out, who are your leaders? Who do you consider to be a leader? Who are you following?
Who do I?
That's what I want to know. Who you follow? Thank you, Doug, for the super chat. And I see several others. I'm gonna bring them up. Who you following?
Well, listen,
and then we go straight to Dr. Thunder.
That's a great question. I don't want to sound cocky and arrogant, but I follow myself. I haven't.
I'm not mad though. Truth.
Yeah, I follow myself. I haven't really found anybody, that I could say I can look at succinctly to say that they have enough mental and social dexterity for me to follow them 100%. So I really don't. I respect. There's some men that I respect and esteem highly, but far as just follow blindly, no, I don't follow nobody. I do respect certain men, but follow.
I hear you, brother. I'm gonna have to let you go. I know you got to go anyway.
Right,
Peace and love to the Kosher Clinician.
I should be following the perfect one, but don't follow him like a kid.
Blessing. Keep it all the way real. I love it. Right. Thank you so much for dropping by the Kosher Collision. Y'all see him right here. Thank you, Mr. Relay, for the super chat. Let me just pull up his name. Thank you very much. Let me take off. CASHAPP is there. Y'all can show some love. $ Suzette Speaks. The Kosher Clinician. Always dropping gems. Thank you for stopping by. Over to Dr. Thunder. Thank you so much for coming through, Kosher. All right, Dr. Thunder next. Go ahead, sir.
If you don't mind, can I plug something and then give you my...
absolutely.
Okay. So I do a program called Thunder's Thoughts. It's on Thursdays at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Today's show is called Can Joe Be Canceled? Talking about Joe Rogan. So that's going to be an interesting show. Show always starts with a pre-show, which is some live performance footage of yours truly, and then we get into the topic. So it's going to be a good show. So come back or
absolutely.
Come on over to my
absolutely.
Yeah,
please before you go. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so so I think one of the issues. So there used to be 3 places where Black men, in particular, could talk the way that they wanted to talk, and there was a varied subject material, and there were plentiful opportunities for mentorship, and those 3 were the barbershop. See, now the barbershop is different dynamic these days because of the epidemic of single motherhood. And this is no fault. I'm not faulting anybody, but the women are sticking around at the barbershop now because they're rather than dropping their sons off, they're just sticking around.
I know you're gonna let me get a number though. No, I'm just kidding. Well, my hair was short. I'm sorry. Game recognized game. I'm sorry. Continue, sir. Sorry.
That's all right. So there's so that was one location. It's not the kind of place that you can really have these sort of frank conversations anymore. The second place was the Black church. But frankly, Black men have all but been expelled from the Black church. And that would be a natural place to find leadership. And then the third place, of course, was academia. Now, the benefit of tenure is that supposedly you would be able to say whatever you want to say, go where the research leads, say, for instance, if the prevailing view is that the earth is flat, and all of your colleagues believe that the earth is flat, but you have developed a way to measure an aspect of the earth's rotation that suggested to you that it's actually spherical, well, they can't just fire you. They could laugh at you, but they can't just fire you because of a difference of opinion. You can be as political as you'd like to be without the fear of losing your job. So those are the three places, and there would be lots of mentoring opportunities there. Unfortunately, with respect to all three of them, there is a leadership drought. Is not the sort of mechanism that you would expect to be present for those that are in need. Now, you asked the question about who are leaders for me. Who are my leaders? And for the most part, I would basically answer the way that the kosher clinician answered. But I will say that the internet is a big benefit. And so podcasts, I listen to a lot of podcasts, I read, and I am getting mentorship and leadership skills and developing them that way. But then also, I'm a Christian. And so by studying the lives of the saints, that is something that has been tremendously beneficial for me. And so I've gained leadership thing. But I will say, though, other communities don't have this same sort of verbiage or expectation. Like, so for instance, there's a lot of criticism about, there's no black leadership. There's no this like that. We don't talk about that in context of the white community. We don't say who are the white leaders. We don't say who are the, Asian leaders. Where are your leaders? We don't say that. We only say that about black folks. And it's an interesting challenge. I think most communities, to the extent that they have certain dynamics that are comparable to the dynamics you find in the black community, are having the same issues. In the white community, because of more out of wedlock births, they're starting to experience a lot of the things that the black community has experienced. Absolutely. And that would include a sort of drought, an epidemic of leadershiplessness, if that's a word. All right. So that's my time. Thank you very much.
All right, I'm gonna back out of that, Dr. Thunder. I wish I had more time with you, because I hear you. We're not supposed to have just one man. It's not a Martin Luther King era. This is not who we are, like a messiah, if you will. I hear you. That's not necessarily what was the point of my question, but I do want to know if you are following anyone so that other people can understand where they can look for development. So you're saying you get yours from podcasts and other places. Used to be the church, used to be the barbershop, other places, but not so much. And we gotta kind of drill down on where we can get that development. But I appreciate you. Y'all see Dr. Thunder. He has to run. He got his own show. I'm always just interested in learning about new people, and he's one of my new finds, even though he's been around. I'm late to the party. But Dr. Thunder, hope you can come on again. Hope you can join me on my Patreon, and I hope I can join you on your show. But don't kill me. I know you're a deep intellectual, so I don't know if I can swim in the deep with you, sir, but I'm going to do my best, and we'll set that up. Thank you, Dr. Thunder. A pleasure to have you. All right. Taking his spot will be none other than the law enforcement interpreter himself coming through. And I want to hear from two guys. They saw I'm skipping over people not talking and all this. Kid Nardak, they want me to come back to you, of course, and Miko. But let's welcome Nathan.
What's up?
Nathan Daly. Woo, woo, woo.
What's going on, everybody? What's going on?
That's the sound of the police.
Yeah, woo, woo. That's the sound.
Hey, what's going on with you, Nathan?
I love it, Nathan. I feel so good. I'm just appreciating all this masculine energy up here.
Oh, yes,
and I'm going to hear from the gentleman I haven't heard from in a while. But Nathan, before we do, please introduce yourself to the people.
Yeah, so shout out to the panel. Thank you, Suzette, for inviting me on. Let me look at the camera. I got a bad habit not looking at the camera. All right. So I appreciate you guys. This is the real Nathan Daly. You guys, I have a channel. on YouTube as well, where I talk about law enforcement issues and how it affects the Black community, what solutions we can come up with, and just how to kind of have a better relationship overall. I translate a lot of complex and difficult law enforcement issues. As you guys know, we have a lot of them in this country. And just to kind of educate people and then kind of also get rid of a lot of the myths that plague our community and cause us to have bad outcomes with law enforcement. Outside of that, you guys, I'm retired. I've been in law enforcement for 13 years, got into a tragic accident, decided to start a nonprofit called the Blue Phoenix Initiative, where I also try to reach out to officers who are in need and then also connect them with the community members to help them get more support. So, and for the most part, that's it. So I'm here doing, trying to do God's work little by little, you guys.
I love it. I'm reading the comments. I had to, you know, sometimes when I read the comments, I actually exclaim out loud. So I've learned to mute myself while I read the comments. We're here for those. Let me do a quick reset. Just joining. We have an all male panel. Y'all was asking if women coming up. Nah, y'all see what it is. Today is about Black men speaking. Black History Month is in effect, y'all. We are here to talk about issues that affect our community. And of course, the status of our men affects our women. Hello. So we want to know what men are doing, what men are thinking, and what they're hopefully using for their personal development, right? So we're talking leadership today. We're talking about leadership principles, the exchange of leadership principles intergenerationally. Uncle Stu has now enlightened us. Maybe we need to go back even another generation to bring this full circle. Understanding, as Dr. Thunder just put, everybody can be, you know, seen as a leader, no matter the age, stage. That we don't necessarily need one leader of Black men. I understand that. And that you do have to lead yourself, like Coach just said. And I forget my super chat. Thank you. They say they lead themselves and read their word and go from there. But we want to make sure with this dialogue that we are hopefully opening ourselves up to the idea that more exchange could be happening. And I want Gaston's World to come through with your point. I'm gonna put you out there, my brother, because we was talking offline, and you was talking about the concept of the wait your turn concept. And I think, and again, I can't speak for you. I want to listen, and you can frame it for us here when it comes to the young men who are a part of the 35 and under, let's say, crew, millennial crew, when it comes to feeling ready. And then hearing from an older generation, whichever the boomer or the Gen X generation, that you ain't ready though. Hold it, hold that L, hold my coat, hold my water. Pull up to the table, young man, and sit on down and listen to what I got to say. And then you'll be ready about 10, 20 years. Like I felt your passion when you were telling me some of these stories. But start with that, Gaston's World. Just let's frame it up when it comes to the wait your turn scenario that a lot of men, I see women, we are a little bit more deferential. We'll give an older woman, a more mature woman, kind of like that seat. We're like, oh no, she's the senior. She has the life experience here. But I'm not hearing that as much with millennial men in terms of they ready. They feel ready. If they feel like they have the skill sets, the financial backative, and the thinking, what's to stop them? So frame that up for me when you hear this, or how have you heard the scenario come up with the wait your turn?
It's so funny. I'm glad that you kind of brought this point about 35 and under, because millennials are actually classified from 1981 to 1996. And I actually feel that there's some difference in that classification. So I wish they had millennials.
So that's like actually like 39, 40, almost.
Right,
almost.
41.
Okay,
so
wow.
I wish they had millennials 1 and millennials 2 like they do with the boomers. Because there is a difference, right? I feel like there is a difference between men who are under 35 and men who are over 35 in the way that we think. In that, again, a lot of times men who are under 35 are told it's not your time yet. You know, don't speak up yet. Don't speak out yet. You know, just lay in the weeds, you know, wait until it's your turn to strike. And I gave you an example earlier in regards to Usain Bolt, and how Usain Bolt is referred to as probably one of the greatest track athletes of all time. However, if I'm training in Olympic trials with Usain Bolt, I'm not gonna, you know, dial myself back to wait to get his position. If I'm competing at his level, I'm gonna compete with him. And I think a lot of times men in my generation, millennials too, have an issue when we're told by men of later generations that, or earlier generations that, oh, well, You know, you can't be the CEO or you can't be the vice president just yet because you're not old enough. And it's like, well, if I have the qualifications to get me there, I don't understand. And it's like the experience is so important in that if we hold the same position, the job has the same expectations of us. And so that's something I personally have an issue with. And that goes into a lot of different realms, whether it be career, relationships, or community leadership. If I have the qualifications to lead and I've shown that I'm a leader, why do I have to hold second fiddle to someone because they're older? And that's part of my issue.
So this has become, again, a sticking point, I think, when I listen to men of different generations. Does anyone want to respond? Uncle Stu, go ahead, please.
Yeah,
I said Mixed Master Miko and Kidnarda, and I still ain't go to him. Lord. Yeah. All right, after Uncle Stu, those two gentlemen, please go ahead, and then Nathan, you can chime in.
Yeah, I have a question, and my question is, and that's to the younger generation, because I don't have this same experience. Mm-hmm. And let me explain why. Maybe it's because of my military background, maybe because I, married, children, raising children. I've surrounded myself with older, younger people, teaching in the school system. I'm a well-read, continue to read and to study. Who is these men that y'all saying is paying, that you got to pay for your time and we
don't want to bust
nobody out. Let me tell you, it's not you, bro. It's some haters out here. I feel the same way with some women.
Hold on,
go ahead. Sorry, guys.
I'm not offended. The reason I'm asking is because in order for me to really get my head wrapped around what's going on, because I'm an open book in my life. I am an open source on my phone. I'm like, well, where's these dudes at that's doing this pay to play stuff? Because it's like is messing my head up. Like I said, because of Gaskin, before the billions, my check stops because you're supposed to do everything for free.
A lot of mercy.
All right, so no, that's just an inside joke. But I'm very serious in my questioning because I can't solve a problem that I don't know is there. If that makes sense. And it's like I come from a whole different culture than I've seen in other places. So I'm open to understand.
I think me and Gaskin could definitely speak to it.
There you go, Kennard. All right, go ahead, Kennard. Is that Kennard?
No, that was real estate.
That was Mr. Real Estate. Either one of y'all.
Well, okay, so I would just say that we don't want to bust nobody out about the pay for play thing. Because if you find value in the what you're paying for, then you absolutely should pay for it. However,
notice how he's covering back from
no, but the presentation of value is something that I feel like is the issue. In that,
say what you said just now again.
Right, the presentation of value. So if you're saying, hey, okay, I gotta be careful with my words. If you're saying, purchase my help, and I don't know if your help will really value me, then it's like, why not just, hey, because again, if you have something valuable, don't give it away for free. I've heard that 1,000,000 times in my life, and I absolutely agree with it. But again, don't sell me mentorship, because mentorship, I feel like, should not have a price tag. If I'm mentoring somebody, if I'm genuinely mentoring somebody, then that's just what it is. Mm-hmm. If I'm selling somebody a service to get them to where I am, if I'm saying, hey, you can be successful like me, but you're going to have to pay to find out how I did it. That's a different thing, right? And so I really feel like mentorship, it really is a fine line. And I really have to tread lightly on this one because it hit home, right? And so, again, I think that we conflate mentorship with services, and it's not services, right? You're supposed to be mentoring from the heart, right? From a good place, not from your pocket.
Yeah.
And that's not often what we see. And what my experience has been, and again, Uncle Stu, I'm sorry, I wish I could be more specific, but
you ain't gonna call nobody out. I seen Kennard on mute. Kennard, please go ahead, and then Uncle Stu, go ahead.
Well, you know,
no, I'm
aren't we
sorry
in
that
the
y'all got that, because I just never had that experience. And I didn't know, is this a Southern thing? This is a Northern thing? Or this a national?
Nah, you cut from a
Well,
different cloth, Uncle Stu.
speaking from a young person, and actually, I would really enjoy if everybody could actually get a chance to finish saying who their leaders are, because the older generation so far has not been able to name a leader that they follow. They've said themselves, they've said podcasts. So if y'all don't even know of leaders in your own generation to follow, I'm not surprised that you aren't aware of how the people who are positioning themselves as leaders are moving. I'm not surprised that you guys are like, what? These people are trying to charge you an hourly fee for just to consult with him? Yes.
So let me break that down.
Wait.
My leader is Jesus
real quick,
Christ, the Son of the living God. My
leader. You can't see Jesus Christ in action, Uncle Stu.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry to say it like that.
Hold on, guys.
You're not seeing Jesus Christ walk the earth as a black man right in 2020.
Jesus Christ, you're not gonna have office hours, but you're gonna have prayer time.
No,
that's right.
You can
all
absolutely
kinds
call
of
on
books
Jesus.
that educates me, and I lead me. I mean, so like I said,
so if you can name a man on earth as a leader, then come on.
You know,
y'all. Okay, hold on. Bring me some gravity to this.
I think we're in the middle of a change right now, even just in this space. You know, I mentioned in my last statement, don't underestimate the power of the internet.
Yes.
Perhaps the community is actually this right here, and it could expand because
Sir, where
you
your
get
light at?
so much just from channels like this. I'm sorry, it's kind of getting dark.
Okay,
I might be like Darth Vader in a minute.
It's okay. Go ahead. Your point.
Yeah, because I think we bought into what the media was doing, like in the 70s, 80s, 90s, early 2000s. We bought into media, sports, entertainment, and that sort of thing. And it really drove narratives. And all of us, no matter what generation you come from, kind of bought into it, you know? And I think right now, with this expansion of social media and platforms like this and others, it's starting to basically be a rise of the recognition that that's not serving anybody. And you're going to have to sort of create a new narrative and a new image. I know Kevin Samuels talks a lot about, you know, recreating your image, right? Because our image has been controlled by others, you know, speaking about the Black human experience specifically. So I think we're right on the catalyst of the change. And going forward, we'll start to see the residue of those changes. So even discussions like this, I think we shouldn't underestimate it. You know,
no, it's actually very eye-opening. I agree with you fully, sir, because I'm looking and I'm asking questions that I thought would be, you know, not softball, but have, you know, direct answers. And as Mr. Real Estate is pointing out, there's a lot. If Gen X is seeing that there is a dearth, is there a lack of leadership, then that's a huge eye-opening, you know, fact for me. Because I think, and other people, obviously everybody watching, because we expect there to be, as you said, in a traditional narrative sense, people who people look up to. We ain't into the sports. I mean, I love LeBron, but we ain't into, I mean, I love Steph Curry. We ain't into, you know, I love these people too. But as far as critical, you know, character, integrity, leadership, that's who the media wants to put up in front of us as, yes, this is who y'all leaders are. Listen to LeBron. And then he becomes a danger when he doesn't say what they want. Okay, fine. But beyond our sports heroes and our musicians, oh my gosh, this is scary. This is scary. And maybe it shouldn't be, as you say, maybe this is the leadership circle, as you've pointed out, Kidnarda.
One more point that I want to make.
Go ahead, sir.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go.
One more point that I want to make real quick, because I know there's this separation of spirit that, or a disassociation or disconnect. Being in alignment is a key piece. You know, whether you, no matter what, whether you're Muslim, Christian, or whatever have you, if you're agnostic or atheist, then I would say being in alignment with your inner being. And if you walk by faith, then I would say being in alignment with the Most High. That's a key piece, because it gives you the clarity to see things more clearly and conduct yourself in the right manner. So it really starts there and then trickles off to everything else. So it's very important to be in alignment.
I agree with you 100%. Let me just ask, let me take a temperature. Do you guys believe that spiritual awareness is a part of leadership? Raise your hand if you believe that spiritual awareness or connectivity is a part of leadership. I see Gaston. I see.
I think that every man should answer to a power higher than himself.
That's what I thought, but I don't know
yeah.
with how some of the community looking. I don't know if they doing that.
We just have to watch out with that because that's a very contentious point. We have different beliefs.
No, that's what he said. He said he don't
different
care
How high
if it's Allah, whoever else. I hear your point, and we're not going to get into who, but I want a spiritual practice in my leaders. I want that. But I'm asking if you, as men, see that as a paramount requirement of leadership. Do you guys see that way?
Oh yeah,
I do.
Oh yes.
I look at the other 70% more than that part.
What do you mean?
What do you mean?
I mean that if we're saying that 30%, just as an example, is, you know, their spiritual qualities, them being in tune with the Most High and whatnot, and the other 70% would be maybe their message, their works, X, Y, and Z. I would more so put weight on that 70% because a lot of people are going to find contention when it comes to whatever spiritual system that person may follow. What you really want to focus on is all of the other works. And then, yes, if they follow a system that you align with, that's great. But I mean, we don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater. And there's plenty of leaders that don't follow the same religious beliefs that I have, but I still find value in their message and teachings.
Okay. I think what we're saying is not to say that you have to be a certain faith. We're saying you have to be grounded. So if the grounding via a spiritual practice is a requirement, is what more I think people were asking.
But how do we know someone's grounded unless they're outwardly showing some kind of faith?
No, their works, their absolute works, to show me how they're not grounded or grounded. They're fruit.
It's in how you move. I mean, you can, you know, it's show. You know, it's in what you do.
And it's not. I understand what you're saying, Mr. Real Estate. You got a lot of fakers out here. You got a bunch of Playboy
Bill Gates for a long time was the richest man in the world, and I don't know that he follows spiritual practices and isn't in tune with the Most High, but he's wildly successful. So
who are you talking about? Sorry,
you said Bill Gates, and I think that Bill Gates had followers within his, I guess, profession. Yes. Right, but I don't know if Bill Gates, and again, you know, that's talking about a different community,
that's
right?
That's an industry leader. Understood.
No, right, absolutely, and that's a different community too. So they all don't really care. I think a lot of times whether or not someone answers to anything.
Right. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They focus on the other things. I mean, I love Malcolm X and MLK, but I'm not really a member of the Nation of Islam per se. So, you know, I take their actions and their works.
No, we're not saying it precludes you. Understood. Yeah. Your point is understood. Like, don't overly focus on spiritual things. What are they doing as a result of their spirituality? I hear you. I hear you.
Jump in there, sir.
Miko, go ahead, sir.
Oh, sorry. Just one thing I want to bring up when we talk about spiritual leadership is and something, Gaston, you point out is in terms of waiting in line. Something I'm experiencing right now is leadership at my church, where we don't have enough men stepping up. And on top of that, I come with a lot of ideas. Having been a millennial, I'm 38. I'll put it out there, and I have a lot of ideas trying to get move us into a more technologically advanced congregation, but we're still going to be within the word. But my ideas tend to fall on deaf ears, and I'm trying to step up and say, hey, let's do this, let's do X, Y, and Z. But, you know, we have the older elders who are the baby boomers kind of just like set in their ways and don't want to budge. So I'm just curious to ask the panel, how do you approach these obstacles?
Who would like to take
Ask that again. Approach which obstacles? Ask that again.
Try and get your ideas and step up in terms of leadership, but your leadership that is currently in place is not moving. They're set in their ways. They don't want to relinquish some of their power or authority.
So he used the example
of
his church being like he want to move forward.
Right. No, that's easy.
Can I speak on that?
Who that talk?
Yes.
I put it in the comment section earlier.
Let me say this.
Go ahead before the billions.
Before you go, Suzette, I got a wife that needs to get fed.
Oh, okay. So I'm gonna drop the link and bring some of the audience.
Get ready to cook, but I will have it on in the background.
Okay, I love it. You better take care of that business. Uncle Stu,
y'all
see him up here. Always showing love and support. Go to his channel. Uncle Stu, the old man on the block, dropping knowledge. Thank you for the time that you were able to spend with us tonight. Thank you, Uncle Stu. I'll see you over there on your channel very soon. You take care, sir. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank y'all. Y'all have a wonderful night. May the peace and blessings be with you.
Thank you. Appreciate you. Uncle Stu in the building. Thank you for coming in. This is Suzette Speaks. We're talking Black Men Speak tonight conversation about leadership, looking at the old school versus the new school, the older generations and the millennials who are stepping forward, and understanding what it means to be a leader, how we can implement mentorship. And I think Miko was just asking, he's like, I'm trying to be a leader, and a generation before me is kind of sick in the mud. I'm also going to drop the link. I'll be able to take up probably one person at a time. So if you've been up before, let new people come up. I'm sorry, but we got a packed house, and we haven't heard from real Nathan Daly yet. So anybody want to respond to Miko in terms of this?
Coup d'etat? Right. So it kind of goes back to what I was saying earlier, is about showing how to actually do a specific thing, right? Just like how everybody's putting up, like Coach Clinton, he said it had nothing really to do with age. Also, Big Bad Bull also said that as well in the comment section. Like, even a younger person can lead, somebody who may be older than them, right? And I'm sure that also Mr. Real Estate would also agree with me that it takes a certain level of salesmanship in order to not only sell yourself as, hey, you know what, consider me as a professional, right? I understand the technology, so I can be actually able to improve. And actually, I'm going to sell not only myself, but also the technology I'm trying to bring to the table, right? Like, why would you actually take on this new technology? What are we missing? And then if it's something like, okay, this is inconvenient because we don't have this technology, that's a perfect selling point. And that's a great way to show that you are a voice to be listened to, a voice to be heard.
But what if it's the pastor, and the pastor know best, and the pastor hear from God?
When the pastor keep complaining about a specific thing, like, dang, I wish we could get everybody's email address so I can send them some emails. How am I going to do that? Well, we got Big Max and Miko over here with the email marketing, stuff like that.
Oh, I see you, Luke Hazley. Thank you for the super chat. Sorry, and anyone else, thank you. So proving yourself, showing what can be done. Thank you, Luke Hazley. All of y'all who are just sending super stickers, just showing some love. Appreciate you being over here, first and foremost. And I hope you're enjoying the conversation. We were talking about the next generation of Black male leadership, the exchanges, and the principles that we are hopefully carrying. And I guess I want to know if there are, what the future looks like in terms of Black male leadership. That's what I really wanted to know. Anyone else want to answer, Miko? And I've dropped the link. You can come on up in the back if you want to add your 2 cents. Thank you, Luke Hazley.
I think it's a great point that Before the Billions had, because I'm sure, Miss Master Miko, you have your own, Miko for sure, you have your own value that you can bring to your church community, right? And so step out with that value. Don't, and I think this is one ability that we kind of missed on when we were talking about the abilities of leaders, because I believe that leaders do come from within ranks. I don't think leaders are just put in place by the powers that be. I think true leaders have the ability to step out from within the ranks, and then also have the ability to galvanize the ranks, right?
I love that you said that, and sorry to interrupt, because there is a stereotype, not anybody here, that millennials want to skip the process, jump to the top, start leading without the actual experience. So what you've just said is, no, you don't believe that is a leadership value.
Well, no, whatever process the previous leaders may have gone through to be in the position that they are or earn their position don't necessarily define their leadership qualities, in my opinion. Not always. A lot of times those people can buy those positions, right? And so it's better, in my opinion, if someone were to step out into that role and the community that they step from recognize them as that leader, as opposed to just being voted in by Congress or whatever. That's not look at what happened, what we just had as a president, right? He wasn't a leader of the community. He may have been a leader in his industry. Like we talked about, a lot of people don't really care about that. But for our community, I think where leaders are going to come from is within the ranks, and then have the ability to galvanize. So just like I'm suggesting that Miko, to use his abilities or use his skills to galvanize his community, galvanize his church, and say, this is a value that I'm going to bring to you. Whether you choose to accept that value or not, that's totally up to you. But if it's a true value, people will not only accept it, but will subscribe to it and follow you as well. And that's really what it's all about. I think in 2022, a lot of, like I said, a coup to be funny, but a lot of leaders are going to be moved. There's not going to be a good transition of leadership, or
they're gonna lose followers. It sounds like
a gentle passing of the baton that's going to happen.
You have to muscle them out of that chair. You're gonna have to pry their dead cold hands from up.
Right. No, we're just gonna call their race. Their race code.
Oh my goodness. You're like, goodbye. I don't know. And I feel that on the lady side. I'm not gonna bring that up here, but I feel some of the time with a Gen X outlook that I'm like, I don't want your job, sis. I'm not coming for your job. I'm not, like when I was in a farm life, and it was first all sweet and nice, and then it was like, oh, competitive. And I'm not going to help you. And again, part of that is being in a capitalist society. But yeah, we're cis until we're not.
Well, how it relates to women, I think what we're seeing is.
And I have a lady in the back. Auntie Faye, y'all want a lady up? I thought this was a men's only panel.
This is a conversation. This isn't that kind of conversation. But what I will say is that I think women absolutely need to have this conversation amongst themselves as well. Because there is a sense of all right, there is
put you on mute, Bernardez. Thank you.
There is a sense of the women who are in the older generation and younger generation, who's gonna get the men of value, right? And I think that's a conversation that women can have amongst themselves to try to reach some sort of understanding about who needs to be, stepping into that role as,
whatever. Don't get too deep. Don't get too deep on the
ladies. Right. Because that's another show. That's not our show.
It's man tonight. This is man tonight.
And actually,
Kimo,
real quick, if I can,
let me read this super chat, and then you're up, and then I want to hear from Nathan. All right, the issue of mentorship being monetized. I sympathize with the panelists, but I think in some ways it can be worth it. A more established person may value their time. And you know what? Some of these and I've had it with mentees, they be waste of time. So you got to put a value on that. Yeah, okay, leave it there. Thank you, Kimo C, Patreon member, for showing some love. Go ahead, Mr. Real Estate, and then I gotta hear from Nathan.
Yeah, all I was gonna say real quick to piggyback off of what Gaston's saying as far as the coup. Not only will that happen, but it's not going to be a coup as in the traditional sense, because it's not like we're gonna overthrow them and then try to take their place within that organization. Really, what's going to happen is people are going to wake up, realize that their leaders are false prophets, and those leaders are going to just see one day they go out there and look in the crowd and the stands are empty, because people understand truth when they hear it. They understand better opportunities when they see it. And through social media, through many other means that the older leaders never even had access to before, we're over here building our own thing over here. So I don't think anyone's really trying to, do a coup, take them out, and then, take their spot on the pulpit. I think we're trying to build our whole other vehicle here.
I hear you. All right. I'm going to give him a solo screen. I cannot thank you for getting a light. I was nervous. Nathan, where you at, my brother? Let me put Nathan up here and give him a solo show. Go ahead, Andrew. I see you in the back. I see that there's more people trying to come up in the back. We're full in the back right now. As somebody drop off, we'll let other people back up. Okay? All right. Yes, sir. Your opinions, please, on everything you've been hearing.
No, it's a lot. I was taking notes because I got on a little late, so I wanted to try to catch up a little bit. But you don't have to give me a solo screen. You're making me nervous now.
All right, the people coming. We coming.
There you go.
I was like, I gotta get.
I like this. Yeah, I like this. I like to see everybody. So when I see facial expressions change, I know who I need to address.
Okay.
So, all right. So
on you.
All right. Let me take it from the top. Man, there was a lot of good stuff said, and I think I don't know how people look at it, but you guys know I've had a front row seat dealing within our community. And so I have a very interesting perspective dealing with the youth of all ages. And so I've mentored them as well. And some are in prison now. Some were able to change their life around and kind of make the best of the teaching. But it's hard. It's hard, you guys. I think sometimes we forget how bad our situation is in this country. I think we're not realizing how serious the problem is. It may not look as bad for some of us because we're doing really well, but I'm here to tell you that there's a lot of problems that need to be addressed on all. There's a battle that needs to take place on all fronts, right? Like everybody's skill, everybody's talent, everybody's gift is needed in order to really turn this reverse engineer the problem. Is always, that's the way I like to put it. Because the reality is we're not going to just be able to do it any conventional way. So when, you know, you guys are talking about we're the leaders, the problem is our leaders have been given to us and they haven't been selected amongst the people, right? You know, if you pay attention to what, you know, Malcolm X used to say back in the day, his words aged like fine wine. The same problems that he spoke on, it's like he prophesized it. You know, we're constantly falling into the same traps over and over and over again. And, you know, we saw it recently when you have, a gentleman go on live station and say, if you don't vote for me, you're not black, right? And the man makes it to the top of the office, you know, on the hands of black skinned people, you know, put him there. And so, again, you know, we have to challenge ourselves. What progress are we really making? The issue is, I tell people those times to teach martial arts. And one of the things I would teach the students is that there's a lot of techniques we always talk about. If you can control the head, you can control the body. And so that rings true in all things and just in life and society, that if you can control a person's mind, the body, you can control the direction, you control their behavior. The biggest problem in our community is that our minds are gone for a lot of us. And if we can't penetrate the mind, then the behavior, right? And so our actions are no longer our own, right? Someone said control our image. Yeah, our image is being controlled. No one has power over us. We give power to people, you know, and we look at a perfect example. It happened to Nick Cannon. It happened to Whoopi Goldberg just the other day. You know, listen, as we realize it, you guys, if you playing in somebody else's house, you're using someone else's resources in that home, right? You can't tell them how to operate their house. You cannot tell them. So until we build our own home, you know, this is what it is, right? And so, you know, a lot of these problems that we have in our own community, we already realize are self-inflicted. So then we talk about the leaders, and I like the question that Mr. Real Estate, shout out to Mr. Real Estate, sharp brother.
Mr. Real Estate don't be pulling no punches. Y'all
No,
don't even know who y'all following. Stop telling us to follow y'all.
Hey, me and him have a chat before. He comes with
no chill.
Raw.
No chill whatsoever.
But you know what? You know, at the end of the day, we have to talk like that now because it's too much going on.
Yeah.
We need tough love.
Yeah.
You look at how Kevin Samuels has monopolized the game right now because he's like, man, we need raw truth, you guys. You know, and the problem with our community, we're a very emotional group of people. Right. Gosh. And we're easily manipulated through emotions. And this is the game that the politicians play, is that if we can get on their emotions, we know we got them. Again, we're playing on the mind. And, you know, these guys are very sophisticated, right? They hire top-notch psychologists to say, how can we, I mean, look at the Willie Lynch situation. We're talking about breaking people. They studied how
generationally. Yeah.
So they're playing the long game and we're playing the short game. And that is the biggest problem with our community. We're not willing to die on the sword for a generation behind us to step over. And that is the biggest issue. So when we talk about leaders and saying, okay, well, I got to charge you for this, I got to charge you for that. Well, you're not willing to die on the sword. At the same time, we're not saying don't charge for your skills. If you're teaching, yes. Giving wisdom is something else. I've reached out to people and said, hey, can you just tell me what's the best direction to go in? Here's my problem. You've already did it. You're already here. What's the best type of lender to use, right? If I'm talking to Mr. Real Estate, Mr. Real Estate, he's like, okay, well, listen, go with these guys and these guys. I know you're a good dude. I like what you're doing. Let me put a word in for you. What'll happen is you'll have some brothers, some sisters will be like, nah, for an hour of my time, it's $300, right? To give me wisdom. I'm not saying teach me, right? If I'm saying, Mr. Real Estate, can you give me about 3 days or whatever?
Show me how to do a closing.
Show me how to do that. I'm gonna pay for that. I'm gonna pay for that. When the issue about mentorship is we're saying, can you guide me? Can you give me some guidance? Can you give me some instruction? Right? If I'm saying teach me, that's totally different. And you should you should charge for your time. No one is saying that your time isn't valuable. Now, if you give a little discount here and there, I mean, cool, right? But at the end of the day, if you see value in it and you see value in what you have to offer, your wisdom, absolutely, you should charge, right? And so I respect that 100%. But if you see I'm asking a question, I'm like, hey, I'm looking at, can you help me with a grant writer? What's the best way to go about this? And you say, oh, this is where you should go. This is where you should do. That's what we need. We need more of that. You know, and so someone asked again too, who are our leaders, right? Or who's a leader to you? You know, growing up, you know, and Suzette, we're from the island, so it's different. Right? We have a village thing, right? So right. So it's a little different when we start talking about the difference in culture, right? Because I could say my mentors were my uncles, you know, my mentors were my aunts, you know, my grandparents. Those are mentors to me, but they're passing on culture, they're passing on value systems. This is a big thing in Black America when we look at what is the culture, right? How toxic is our culture? How dysfunctional is American culture, Black American culture? We have to talk about that, right? Why is it that you have people from different countries come here and then about two generations later, they're damaged, right? So there's something in this Western culture that's very toxic, that's over consuming, right? When you try to assimilate, it's not healthy. And we just have to be completely honest. And so, you know, growing up, there's a gentleman by the name of Les Brown. I don't know if you guys are familiar with him.
He's from Miami. Yeah.
He's a motivational speaker, right?
He's a motivational speaker.
Yes.
And as a kid, you guys, I sat and listened to all of his stuff. But, you know, I had a willingness to want to learn, though, right? And so we talk about this desire and willingness to want to learn, willingness to be better. I had another mentor in high school. You know, I'll never forget him. His name was Chika Akua. Brilliant brother, you know. And so he was always talking about Black empowerment in ways that I didn't even understand, because in Jamaica, we say out of many one people, you have Spanish, Asians, Indian, everybody considers themselves the same. So when we come here to this country, we say this is United States of America, more like divided states, right, of America. We're not unified. And when we talk about our community as a whole, we operate as individuals. So then we say, okay, well, who are our leaders in place now? We have the Black Caucus, we have the NAACP. But when you look at the stuff they focus on, you know, they're not for Black lives. You know, they're not for Black empowerment. You know, and I challenge everybody, go to their site, examine what they talk about, examine what they focus on. And I tell you one thing, if people who claim to be leaders or claim to represent Black people or want to empower Black people, if they're not talking about holding Black people as individuals accountable, holding their community accountable, then they're not leaders, you guys. They're paid opposition. And that is the truth, because the reality is the only way for us to get out of this mess is for us to actually identify these core root issues, which is family, right? So if we're not building family, we can't teach, right? And if we can't teach, how do we educate and create leaders? We all these things spawn out of family, out of core families. And so again, the enemy is trying to destroy. Yeah, the enemy wants to destroy and separate the families. Who do they go after? They attack the men. They confuse the women, right? We see this for those who monitor Genesis. We see it in the Bible, right? Why go after the woman, right? So what is it about the woman that's easy prey, right? So when you look at how everything is orchestrated in modern time, you see the attacks are so strategic. You know, it's all orchestrated to keep us apart.
And the toxicity is a plan. Yeah. I'm not going to say the culture is becoming toxic by accident. No, brother, you preaching. I want to get some responses. I see this comment. Thank you for the super chat. I see people want to get up on the panel though. So I'm going to B2B, and can you make a comment here, sir? And can I switch you down just for a little bit to get somebody up? B2B, do you want to respond to that?
To the comment right here?
The comment here, or what Mr. Daly just shared? Very powerful points.
It says, I don't think Black men know just how powerful they are. They're insecure and not trusting of each other.
Do you think that's true or has any truth to it?
I would not say that for everybody. Of course, I don't think that they're saying that either. But in any group, you're going to have people who are insecure and not trusting of each other. I know that people talk about the crabs in the barrel mentality and stuff like that. But my experience is that there are people out there who most definitely will go out of their way to help you out. I listed everybody who was up there on the panel who has either taught me something, especially if I'm just meeting you for the first time. Like even just this conversation, I've learned a lot. And then to further that point is that, I talk about getting into jobs a lot. There are people who will say, you know what, I support you so much that I'll be looking out for a specific job for you, because I know that you'll be able to be a great fit. You don't, and then that's what the networking portion of it is. It's like, are we actually trying to uplift each other? Well, the only way you can uplift each other is if you are communicating and collaborating with each other. And actually, you have to put yourself and position yourself in that group. So yeah, overall, I think that if you're trying to ask, like, if you're trying to say it's a majority or a minority type of thing, I don't think the majority of people are insecure in themselves or not trusting of others. I think that
and I want to add, if you are, you got to work on that. That affects leadership. That affects leadership 100%. Leadership of a family, leadership of a community. Confidence. I think we have a big lack of confidence across America, not just among men, women, children, white, black. A lot of people don't believe in themselves and move in very insecure and can't help not a darn thing, much less themselves. B2B, I'm gonna bring you down. I'm gonna bring you down, brother.
And to kind of piggyback on,
go ahead, Miko. I'm gonna switch him out.
To the abundance versus scarcity mindset. I think we've been conditioned to operate.
Hold on. I'm sorry.
Wait.
I know that is talking, but
y'all be ready in the back. I'm gonna put you on mute, Andrew. Y'all be ready in the back.
Somebody has some music playing. You have to cut that off because it'll get the stream struck. So you have to cut that music off in the background, whoever that is. Okay.
Yeah, I know I'm a DJ, but it's not me.
Go ahead, sir.
Okay. Hey, appreciate it, Gaston. Piggyback off of BTB.
Sorry, before you begin, I'm gonna drop the link again. We're gonna make room. I'm gonna drop down. Thank you so much, BTB. Before the billions coming down, and I'll have a space for 1 or 2 people. We're gonna rotate some a little bit, okay? So we can get a couple new voices up. Go ahead, sir.
Yeah,
Miko.
to piggyback on BTB and Nathan, it goes back to having the abundance versus scarcity mindset. I think we've just been conditioned to be so with a scarcity mindset that we're holding on to everything. We cling on to any little bit of power, any little job, because we're afraid if we lose this, then everything's going to collapse underneath from it. But then we have to find a way to come together and get rid of that mindset where, okay, we're proud people. We have dealt with a lot of hardships throughout the centuries, and this nothing new under the sun. We know how to escape out of this, but we haven't done our job, not just generation ahead of us, but also behind us, to say, hey, let's come together and make something great of ourselves. Because we've seen other groups of people do it, but because we have been conditioned to operate for self
scarcity. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. And through things like chattel slavery, where everyone's out for their own interest and just for survival. So we just it'll take a while for us to get out of that mentality where, hey, we're not gonna get our necks cut off for banding together. Even we do the same thing at work. Like we cannot congregate with each other for
to look like the black people are going to overthrow the office.
Yeah,
listen, Black Man Unfiltered podcast. I want you in the back, please. The link has been dropped. We're going to make a couple people. Miko, I'm going to ask you to drop down and give Kid Narda the floor now. Do you have any other comments you'd like to make? I would like to rotate you out, please. But a great point you make.
Oh no, I'll come back.
Yes, please, Black Man Unfiltered podcast, come on up. And if you want to join the conversation, particularly my men, come on up. Kennard, I want to hear what you have to say. Andrew and Bernard are next. Go ahead, sir.
All right. So I'm going to have to go in a few, but I just wanted to let everyone know that as long as you're aware, you'll have the answer. The answer is always with you. It's important. When I say be in alignment, open yourself up to the idea of connecting to your inner being. That's what I mean. Because you get answers every single day. You know, you're able to pull from just life itself. I know sometimes we think, okay, I need a leader, I need a mentor. You know, I'm more on the side of if you can't get it in human form, then you can get it another way. And that's what I mean. This idea of listening to things that are unseen, you know, tapping into that. I know it's kind of a heavy topic for some, but it does work. When you're in alignment, you see a lot more things. You can kind of read situations, know what to avoid, and recognize the teaching moments, recognize when you should be a student. And you're constantly playing with this throughout life anyway. So if you're in tune with that, on a regular basis, then you'll know exactly what you're supposed to do. And that will filter out through what you do. It'll connect to others around you. Everywhere you go, you're kind of just this vessel for this activity.
That spirit that speaks in us. I hear you so deep. We're going to have one whole show on how to connect with that inner spirit and be aware of it enough to acknowledge and listen, because it's speaking to you. I see you. This is an artist extraordinaire. You see his name. Go ahead and subscribe. Might as well get some plug in. I want new guys in the back. Come on up. Come on up. Thank you for being a part of tonight and making time.
Thank you very much for having me. Thank you, gentlemen. Great conversation.
Our pleasure. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your
All right, I'm going to drop him down. I'm going to get to Bernard. I'm going to get to Andrew next. And if you want to come up, the panel is open. I have 2 spaces in the back, as you can see. Bernard S., my Patreon member. Oh, so patient. Thank you for being here. And he getting ready to launch his channel.
Yeah, I was just talking to Gail today about Nathan Daly. Man, I really enjoy your content, and I really like that. Good to be up here on the panel with you, brother. Very
Respect.
much so.
Yeah, man.
So I can't wait to collab with you.
I appreciate it, man. I appreciate that.
What I have a problem with right now is that I hear my younger ones crying out and it's not being answered. I have a problem with that. I'm gonna be 48 in 2 months. I have a problem with that.
Hold on, 48?
Yeah, I'll be 48 in 2 months.
His skin looking good.
Black don't crack.
He my age.
Go ahead over there. Yeah, well, that's the thing.
Like he's 30. Looking like he's 30 over
here. Thing. I'm gonna drop that knowledge because you shouldn't be paying for it. I drink a half a gallon of water or a gallon of water every day, spring water, and I eat a lot of vegetables. I don't eat meat. You know, once again, like you guys were saying, off of his comment alone, I should be able to tell you guys that and be like, well, man, you probably should pay. No, y'all are asking. I should be telling you.
Exactly.
We should be telling you. So when y'all started asking about people who I looked up to, one of the most underrated people I've ever seen in my life was Jawanza Confuju. His books.
You're going to have to drop it in the comments because I need to figure that out.
It's Jawanza. Yeah, Jawanza Confusion. A lot of us older guys know who he is.
Yeah, he did that. He did that special. I think the 2 of his videos.
Yeah, he's a beast.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's from the 80s. He's a
beast. Some leadership. Yes. Okay.
So I'm giving y'all some leadership stuff because that's what you asked for. So
yes, sir.
And going back to what Nathan Daly said, I am a Les Brown prodigy. I pay $19.99 a month, and he sends me something every Monday, and I listen to it. I'm telling y'all what it is. We don't have time to be doing all this other stuff. It's just me. Right. No, I'm going to give it to you guys because I need to be able to pass that baton without spikes.
Right.
I need to pass it back because Nathan and SuzetteSpeaks, my brother and sisters, my little brother and sisters, whatever they want to be called, they behind me. And I'm like, no, hey, y'all got it. I need to be able to be like, all right, I'm gone, but I'm here. And then I got, you know, Mr. Real Estate, and then you got Millennial Mart TV. These guys are only like 27 years old.
Killing it.
Killing the game. Jonathan Burnfield. He's a million. These guys not even 30. But they still asking questions. Before the billions, they asking questions. So I came up here to do what I did not see. I'm that guy. I'm gonna call it what it is. I came up here to do what I did not see. I'm telling you guys what I'm doing. I am going back, like I said to Nathan there, I'm a Les Brown prodigy. That's what you call when you pay $19.99 a month and get one of his speeches every Monday in an email. I got like a whole year's worth, and I just be going back and forth, and I'm writing stuff. You can get content from this stuff, people, all day. My channel's gonna be pretty much working inside out, talking about the amygdala, and that's like what Nathan was saying. That's where most of us are.
Yep.
You in your emotions, your amygdala. You can't even get out your limbic system. But what I'm gonna do is teach my brothers, my sisters, my younger brothers and sisters, so y'all can eventually sound or do better than me. It's not about me. And I agree exactly what everybody said up here. I grew up in the church. I can't swear. But you know, for God, that pastor was going to die with the Bible in his hand because he should be the only pastor.
Oh,
No.
Lord. They don't want to pass the baton.
That's why, hold up,
they
let's
don't
go
want to
here.
pass the baton.
That's why this Generation X right here and some of us up here on the panel stop
and the Millennials,
going.
they're not having it.
Right, but see, that's why some of us stop going. Because I'm tired of hearing you and you're not preaching to me. I mean, but we stopped going to church for that reason. But nobody wants to talk about that. That's why the name of my show is going to be called Facts and the Uncomfortable Truth. We're going to talk about that. So that's all I wanted to say.
I love it. He said he open to giving the knowledge. So y'all go on and subscribe when you get ready. You're going to be on here anyway. You know,
I hope I gave you guys something. Yes. Because y'all were asking the whole time and y'all didn't get nothing. So
the Les Brown, y'all sign up for
it. You planted the seed in my mind to start drinking half a gallon a day. So thank you. Thank you. I'm trying to look like you in 20 years.
Some other guys up here. You got to be healthy, man. And we got to talk about mental health and body health. Health and wealth. You have to talk about that, or we're not going to survive. And that's how the other cultures have us up on one. We're not healthy. We're not healthy. Nathan couldn't be an officer just running through there out of shape. He can't go to that boot camp like that. No. I went to a prison boot camp to be a officer in the prison. No, you couldn't just have step. So
you can't be looking like Carl Winslow.
Something on you guys.
I love it.
Thank you. Here. I can drop down
you can hang out for a little bit. I want everybody to answer this question. I want to hear from Mr. Andrew
Shoot me an email
Walker.
too when you get a moment. Shoot me an email when you get a moment.
Okay. All right.
And I have his email as well. Yay, Andrew. What say you? Sorry, you can unmute. Sorry. And I see you, Destination Dad, with the big 50 on it. I'll be answering you next. Go ahead, please.
Okay, I want to say thank you to all you guys on the panel and Suzette for being a perfect hostess for a men's panel. I appreciate the way you're doing things, allowing the men to speak and allowing us to converse with one another without trying to be dominant. That's a very, very wonderful quality to have, and that is not seen a lot. I think all of us could say we give her kudos for that right off the gate. You know,
appreciate you, brother. Just being myself, but thank you.
No, for real. That's a real big thing.
Thank you.
As far as leadership goes, I was like I said before, I'm a little spoiled. I went to a boarding school, so we did it from a military perspective in the West Indian household. You know, I was raised up in as youth. The thing is, I don't think we have to take a step back and kind of, like I said before, get out of ourselves for being so isolated, because I think with the transition of the way life is, like, I think we've become too humble or almost subservient. We have our head down. We don't hold our head up. We're not proud of our accomplishments. We don't speak about it. We downplay it. So even if we do big things, we're not showing how important it is to our own youth.
Yeah.
Like, what I'm noticing is that for a lot of young men, what bothers me is we're not teaching them basic things. I'm going to go there by saying, how is someone going to learn to put on a do-rag before they learn how to make a tie? A simple thing. How are they going to be
Sorry, I didn't mean to laugh at that. Sorry.
Yes. How are they not going to know how to walk in a pair of shoes and only wear sneakers? How are they not going to know how to dress in certain apparel? I'm not saying you have to be like that all the time, but if we don't do these simple things, that means we're going to be 10 steps behind anyway. I think that our leadership doesn't have to be vocal, but it has to be through how we carry ourselves. We have to have decorum. You know, it doesn't matter about sexuality and all these other distractions that they have. There's a certain standard that must be set forth, you know, and like some of you guys, I've listened to you having, like, I'm a traveler. If you get the signs or the psychs, as we say sometimes, you have to learn to subdue your passions. You're not a creature. You're a human being. You're a man. And sometimes we slip up. I'm a human. I slip up with certain things too. But even at 45, I'm learning, you know, I'm a single dad.
Control of your body. Hello. Can I just say control of your body is a part of leadership? Hello. Can I say it one more time? Control of your body is a part of leadership. We don't talk it because we've been media promoting the foolishness, men and women. We're promoting the foolishness, and now your spirit is tainted. My spirit is tainted, and how we getting together now? Because you have been imprinted, I have been imprinted, and you want to lead.
But the thing is,
I'm sorry.
No, I get you.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing is, the way you lead is by blessed assurance. If you allow yourself to be humble, allow yourself to be like a sponge and take things in, that's it. I am not a conservative. I'm more moderate, but I don't like Trump, period. I'll say that. But I do listen, because there are things that, even the thing that I dislike the most, there's an aspect of it that I can respect and acknowledge. I can't deny that correctness in that part. Nothing is absolute. You know, even with the young guys, I respect their passion, their drive, and their impulse to execute. The problem is we have gone away from trying to marinate, soak, or let things in like tea. We want immediate gratification. You can't have that in a relationship. You can't have that in business. You can't have that in anything else. Some of you guys even improve watching how you guys are. I'm going to be looking at you guys more and more all the time. I was a religious studies major in college, transferred to organizational management, but I learned about platforms. I learned about passive income, and I know about non-recourse loans. You feel me, Mr. Real Estate? You know?
Yeah.
And
so we
my
have to
boy,
be, yeah,
listen,
go ahead.
I get diverse.
I want to get to the super chats.
I'm sorry. Yeah. My real quick, I'm learning to listen. I want to make sure I teach my youth. My daughter knows about passive income. I taught her about the banking system, because guess what? No matter what you do, no matter how educated you are, you have to have the foundation. You have to learn how much you should spend and your net worth. If we don't do those things from a fiscal standpoint and from a spiritual standpoint, we'll be lost. I think as a Black people, we had these things and we allowed them to be taken away. In our music, when it was about story, message, and understanding, they said no.
Freedom fighting.
They made it indoctrination for negativity, for all the things that we shouldn't do. And I'm not saying I don't listen to the stuff. Listen, I know some people.
I got a good beat, but I understand. But when we became conscious, it was a problem. It was a problem.
And that's the thing.
Yeah.
We just have to, as people, listen to each other. Even if we don't agree, appreciate one another, promote one another, and go to core values. I mean, I want to do a page one day, or not page, a channel one day, but mine's going to be less, I guess, driven by certain things, but more focused on establishing a standard, you know, something that could even transition outside of our racial group, but it will help our group the most if we use it correctly. You know what I mean?
When you look at other people, and I don't mean to interrupt, but I'm going to allow a couple people to chime in, because you've said a lot, and some very, very good, helpful points. No, very, very good, helpful points. Being that example, being and showing and doing, I've heard that as a theme as far as leadership, and that we don't have the luxury in the Black community, I'll just add, just to be leaders for our own kids. We don't have the luxury. We don't have the luxury. With all the men behind bars, and you know they got kids.
Yeah,
somebody got to take the weight. It's a sad sentiment to think about.
Yeah,
but the doing is to extend beyond our own nuclear. Yeah.
Yes, true.
I'm not putting words in your mouth, but this is what I'm seeing, because I realize even as a woman, women who need mentorship beyond what they probably didn't have. So this is a very important. Sorry, Luke Hazley. I am going to keep it just to the guys tonight. I see you. I want to get to Destination Dad's question, and I'm so sorry that I missed before Kid Nardak went off. Jonathan Picos with the contribution. Thank you for this donation. I'm going to ask y'all this question: what is the biggest challenge facing young men? If I haven't heard from Mr. Real Estate and Gaston's World, and then we'll go to Nathan. So what do you think is the big challenge? The back is open. So if you guys want to add to the conversation, men only, this just tonight. If you want to come up as a guy, add what your thoughts are about Black men in leadership and where we are and where we're going, please come on up. But go ahead, Mr. Real Estate and then Gaston's World. What are the biggest challenges or challenge facing young Black men?
I would say the biggest challenges are a lack of support from the older generation that does have resources. If you take that away, I would say we really don't have much challenges. Out of any Black man that's ever lived in the history of the world, we have the most access to opportunity. I can build my own news network if I want to through social media. I mean, the opportunities are limitless. So the only thing that I would really like to see is more support from the older generations that at least have the resources, because what that's going to do is shorten the journey for us to get there. The young generation, me, B2B, Gases, we putting in the work. Nathan Daly, we putting in the work. We gonna get there regardless, but it will at least make it a whole lot quicker,
if we had support,
a whole lot easier of a journey if we had some
Yes.
support from those who have the resources.
Yes, interesting. Thank you. What say you, Gaston's World?
I have to agree with Mr. Real Estate on that. You know, the biggest challenge facing young Black men in 2022 is the fact that we have the skills, we have the intelligence, we have the education, and it just seems like they're the gatekeepers, right? They're the key holders. You know,
gatekeeper is the right word. Yeah.
Shout out to Miko, Miss Master Miko, the pastors who just won't either impart the wisdom or get out the way.
It's some good men of God too. It's some good men of God, but some of them they holding on. Some of them holding on. Yes.
It's a lot of people who either won't impart the wisdom that they have without some monetary gain or some gain of some sort, or get out the way. And quite frankly, there are men who are old enough to be my dad, and they're trying to date the women that I'm trying to date, right? And they're saying, no, you need to wait, young man. No, wait your turn. You don't need to get married just yet. You're too young. What are you talking about? I'm a man just like you. And if you want this, no. This needs because that was part of the conversation that Kevin Samuels was saying. Oh no, young man, you need to wait.
Thank you, Gail. Shout out to Nathan Daly. I'm sorry, I'm going back to Destination Dad. Go ahead, Gaston.
Right, you Mr. Real Estate's age. You need to wait. Right, you need to hold on, Mr. Real Estate. Don't get married yet. You got some more work to put in. But if Mr. Real Estate is ready to get married and he can support a family, why not? Is it because you want the woman that he's interested in? And that's what I find is part of the issue as well, is that a lot of us in today's society, we're all competing, right? We're all competing for the same positions of power, of influence. We're all competing for the same people. And, you know, to the victor go the spoils, right? And so we're all whatever it takes. And so now it's like, hey, you're younger than me, right? Like the bully mentality, right? And it's like this generation won't be bullied easily, right? Like we're not just going, all right, hey, you got it, old man, you know, cool. Nah. And that's what we're kind of here to say, is that from whatever perspective, relationships, business, etc., you know, we're men too, right? And we don't have to define our masculinity by carrying around bricks. We're men, and we're going to step into that role whether you like it or not. So you can move, or, you know, we'll move you.
Come on, Gaston World. All right. Biggest challenge. First of all, Destination Dad with the big 50 piece. Yes, sir. He says, thank you for your support, Destination Dad. I believe the best leaders in recent history have always been, interesting, the young, charismatic person what that's willing to die. Think about this. That's what's missing. Destination Dad, you said a word right there. Welcome to the panel. My brother, hit me up on Insta. Black Man Unfiltered. I can't wait to hear from you. Nathan Daly, what's the biggest challenge?
Man, shout out to Gail. She's so amazing for that.
Yay!
As well. And Black Man Unfiltered. What's good, brother?
What's going on, Nathan, man? Good to see you, brother.
Same here, man. We be diving deep over on his channel, boy.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Listen, on my channel, I got to play a little politics. I got to ease my subscribers into it, because I can't take them out and drown them, right? Like, so I got to be careful. So when I get a chance to get on you guys' your channel and Black Man Unfiltered, I get a chance to spread my wings, boy, and I spread them.
Yeah, you do.
I spread them, boy. God. So I appreciate you guys giving me the room to just kind of really express thought and be completely transparent, because, you know, we need it. I would say the biggest challenge, and I think to piggyback on Mr. Real Estate and Gaston's World as well, they're right. And what they said, I'll add on to that a little bit more, though. I got my list a little lengthy, right? And so it's I would say wisdom is one of the biggest things, because we have a lot of young men who want to lead. They have the energy, they have the passion, they have the skill set, they have the desire, whatever you want to call it, but they lack the wisdom. And of course, we know where that comes from when the baton's not passed properly, right? When there's no men in the home, right? You got to understand. We all understand the value that a man brings to a household, right? Structure, discipline. those things, and not only that, integrity, right? Value systems and things of that nature. So that is a young man's first leader is his father, right? And so when you talk about not having that, you have these young men that start looking to these celebrities, right? Who I don't want to call them out, but they start looking to these people who are not, they're not leaders, right? And so we end up having a batch of potential successful Black leaders, young men and even young women, but we're talking about the men, who become tainted, and now they've been indoctrinated into a room and a well of ignorance purposely. And so now then they get a hold of us, Gaston World, he comes in contact, Bernard comes in, Andrew comes in contact, Mixed Master Miko, right? Mr. Real Estate comes in contact with these gentlemen who've already been tainted spiritually, mentally, emotionally. And then we find ourselves working twice as hard to decontaminate them, to flush them out. This is the problem, right? The media. We talk about how much time these young kids spend on social media, just taking it all in, right? It's a problem. You know, the media is the biggest problem facing Blacks, just in general. You know, we have to control that at all costs, right? And so again, we see Whoopi, what she's going through. She can't even say anything that she wants to say. That's just the spinner, right? Like you don't have a freedom to speak about other people. But on that panel of them on The View, they have talked about every culture, everybody, right? And so again, if you don't own it, you can't control it. Listen, we have an issue with how we're educated. We have an issue. Some people in our community believe that white supremacy and white privilege is something that's extremely relevant to our development or our structure and our growth. And that's false. That's a fallacy, right? Those things are non-factors in our community, right? But these things are only as real as we give it power, right? So again, when we have a large group of our young men who say, okay, well, white supremacy is the reason why we can't get here, can't get there. The real question is, again, and I've said this before, is that we can't complain about a set of group of people, complain about how they act, how they maneuver while we're playing around and doing cartwheels under their roof, in their home, right? They have control over this space and we're complaining about it. And then again, we turn around and then ask them to teach our children, right? And so here's the problem. We don't own any schools of our own where we can actually put and educate leaders through schools. So we talk about what they don't learn in school, right? We talk about financial literacy. See, a lot of these other groups are teaching their kids this in their home, right? And so because our homes are fractured, we're not getting these messages. And so again, I would say the discipline is another thing. The discipline, the structure, and I would say the lack of unity. And that is by far, in my opinion, from what I've seen, one of the biggest detriments to our communities. Doesn't matter how many leaders we have, because we have plenty of people who want to be leaders. We have plenty of people who want to do things. But again, if we don't come together and practice a form of group economics, if we don't come together, the men, like you said, if there's no discipline, right? That's a big one. You have men out here. I said it before.
You done scared off Suzette.
A lot of these.
Gotta hit the wrong button on that.
Oh my bad. Listen, a lot of these young guys are they're throwing their feet in the trash can. You know, every single day, right? And so we have a problem in our community about this lack or this inability to control self, right? And so again, look how we're marketing to our men. I can't even go on my Instagram. I see nothing but cheeks on top of
booty, booty, right?
Yeah. And so, you know, what are our women doing?
Facts, sir.
You know,
everywhere.
What are our women doing? How are women influencing and also tearing our men down? A lot of men don't have the strength of the discipline, right, to push past that. And so these are a lot of distractions. We have to filter a lot of the toxic stuff out of our culture. We need to redefine what it means to be Black in America. And then we need to hold everybody accountable. When we talk about culture, it's just a set of rules, ethics, and values that a group of people agree on. We have to first start looking at each other as melanated people. So before you're Christian, Islam, or LGBT, whatever you want to go by, before you're any of that, or you're atheist or agnostic, cool, Catholic, cool, that's your business. Before any of that, we're melanated people, and we need to move as such. And as we get what we need as melanated people, then by all means, everybody get the hell on and go in your own separate ways. The problem is we are too divided. We have no plan. There's no structure. There's no discipline. We don't own anything. We don't control anything. We don't educate our own people. We have all the resources. We have a lot of money. We spend it poorly and we don't save anything. $1 trillion go out the window every single day. We're spending on stuff that's frivolous and unnecessary. So again, you know, we allow our communities to be gentrified. We have leaders who want to finesse and take advantage of the people. They want to start real estate funds, and then we can't figure out where the money's going, right? So we trust these people who are sensationalized, right? We look for the flashy. We have leaders in the Black community. We have Thomas Sowell, right? We have gentlemen who are educated, who have already solved the problem. They say, hey, guys, here's the problem. They put it in a book, they packaged it, but we don't want to listen to them. So one of the biggest problems is we're constantly trying to reinvent the wheel. I hear people talking about ADOS, right? I love it. Give the reparations. We had this conversation on Black Men Unfiltered. You guys, please check that out because it was hot and heated and crazy.
It was.
The reality is, okay, look, we got ADOS. We want people to get reparations. You know, me and Suzette, we ain't gonna get it. So it is.
Wait a minute now. I don't live here. How much you?
You ain't getting it, boo. Hey, you ain't getting
Well, my people came on a slave ship. My people got dropped off early.
But they talking about who were the.
You said they got dropped off early.
We got dropped off early. Listen, there are people on our island already that were melanin skin, right? So you know, the
what if I'm marrying an African American? Does that include me now? Or
no. The trade-off, Suzette, is that you get your culture, right? So
hey, no, I have.
Which one's more valuable?
Hold on. I understand. I am an inheritor of a beautiful legacy, just being on this land here, and I'm grateful to every ancestor that died.
Right. Because we wouldn't be able to be here.
Don't get it twisted.
We
I
couldn't
already
be here if it
inherited
wasn't
so
for the
much.
sacrifice, right?
But can you all cut me a check so I can get my kids?
Right. No, because you get.
What about my student loans? What about my student loans? Can anybody?
Well, if you voted for
Joe
Biden,
Biden's supposed to take care of that. Yeah.
Can I get that 50 grand?
Talk to Sleepy Joe.
Yeah, Biden said he's going to take care of that.
Okay, I'm getting into it.
Nathan, I have a quick comment,
bro. You're spitting
for
facts.
Nathan. Yeah.
Go ahead. Who
so
who's up? And I want to get to two new gentlemen. XDMC, first time seeing you, and Black Man Unfiltered. I want to get y'all involved. Go ahead, Miss Real Estate.
So, comment that I want to make based on what you said is I definitely agree with like 85% of it, but the one thing I want to provide a little bit of pushback on is I think you made a comment along the lines of, you know, when we talk about like racism and white supremacy, like it doesn't really impact our community, right? And I'd have to say that that's false. When we talk about why the spending power is so little, when we talk about why our de facto leaders are leading us this way, it's because there's billion-dollar industries that are marketing, promoting, and actively working against our community. And whenever we've looked in history and saw examples of us galvanizing, coming together, being as one, whether that's Black Wall Street in Oklahoma, which I have ties to, or whether that's, you know, the Black Panther Party in Oakland. I mean, we are literally targeted and systematically picked apart. So this is where we really got to focus in on. A big problem in our community right now is the victim Olympics. A big part of our community is that these leaders are just spouting about the problem. They're just talking about, you know, the cops killing Black people and all of this and blowing a lot of things out of proportion when a lot of things are isolated incidences. And there's a big difference between recognizing outside pressures that are working against you and moving accordingly versus just crying, woe is me, the man's trying to keep me back. So we really need to be very cautious of these leaders that are just spouting, just complaining, just doing this victim Olympics without providing actionable solutions. Because we have to recognize history in order to know where we're going, but there's no way that anybody should just get up here and say, I'm not where I want to be because of racism or white supremacy, but we have to see how those things have played a part in getting us in the position we're in now.
Well,
I hear you. Well, there are a few things, brother. I mean, you know, Mr. Real Estate, you know, me and Mr. Real Estate, we go at it a lot, but there are a few things, man, that are factual, that are written, that is proof of that. Now, I don't believe in the victim Olympics either, but I believe in receipts, and I believe in the receipts of redlining. I believe in the receipts of food deserts. I believe in the receipts of people not having what they need to have. And I always use this analogy of the bull shark. I was watching National Geographic with my son, and my son he loved sharks. They had Shark Week. I think I forgot. Yeah, Discovery had Shark Week. And I was looking at the bull shark, and they said the bull shark grows to be 25 to 30 feet. But if you take a bull shark and put him in a 5-foot aquarium, he will only grow to the length of that aquarium. because of his surroundings. His surroundings can stunt his growth. And so when you have redlining, food deserts, when you take little boys at 13 years old that went stole a piece of candy out of a store and give them a felony theft charge, and then they get 21 years old, change their life and want to get a job, and they tell them they can't get one. And then you create a monster. You're creating that bull shark. He can't grow to be 25 feet because he's only in the aquarium. He's only going to get to 5. And so we have to understand that there are certain things that have held our culture back, and we have pulled ourselves up by the bootstraps. Oh, we've done it. You just mentioned in Oklahoma, everybody was looking good, had their top hats on, the ladies were dressed real good, the kids were running around playing. We had our own stores, our own movie theaters, we had our church on every corner. We had you could go buy what you wanted to buy. And look, we were doing too well. We have to find a way to get these Black people out of here. We gotta drop something down on them. We gotta delete the entire community. And that's exactly what they did. So yes, I do understand the Victim Olympics. Yes, we got to get out of the Olympics, but we cannot neglect that the Olympics exist.
Your point is well taken, and you let us understand again the macro influences on why Black culture didn't come this way. Like, this was not our culture, and I say our. Right. I'm an American as well.
Absolutely,
this was not our culture. This is not our culture.
No,
it's like a bastardized version. Right. So I hear you when you say we have to look at those macro influences. I know real Nathan Daly want to come back with it, but I want to get the 2 other gentlemen. True. Y'all, I'm gonna go for about maybe 30 more minutes because I was like, we might have to do a part 2 around this thing. Y'all so deep. But go ahead and respond, Nathan. I'm gonna go to XDMC and then Black Man Unfiltered again. Go ahead.
Okay. So real quick, I want to touch on Mr. Real Estate said. I agree with everything, but 80% of what he just said. my pushback, my only pushback is white supremacy, this whole notion of race, and this is what Whoopi Goldberg got in trouble for. What was she saying? She was saying that we're all one race, right? Now she knows better to talk about those people, right?
Yeah. Leave it alone. Leave it alone.
Leave it alone. What's the reality? We're all one race of people. Who introduced it? Who introduced the idea and the concept of colors and race and racism, right? We got to look and understand that. The problem is it's used to divide. It's not real. It's only it's a social construct, right? Same thing with white supremacy. There's no such thing, right? What are they? It's white majority is what it is. We allow ourselves to fall victim to what they are putting out. The only power people have is a power that you give them. That's the reality. We have to do a mind shift. The problem in our community, we think that we are oppressed. We're not oppressed. Not only are we extremely successful and educated, we have all the resources, you guys. There's nothing holding us back except for our mind. And I'm gonna tell you this. Bob Marley said, emancipate yourself from mental slavery. This is what it's all about, you guys. It's all a mind game. So again, if we get caught up in this wordplay, oh, we are supreme. No white man is supreme over me, right? And this is the reality. We have to change our mindset. And then we say, okay, white privilege. No, it's white preference, you guys. The reality is there's more of them. There's 60%. We're 13%. We use all of their things. We don't own anything. The reality is when we start to own our own stuff, we hire our own people, we do our own thing. We have our own colleges, but the HBCUs are struggling. We don't even go to our own colleges. Look where we're investing our money. We have our own banks. We don't use our own banks. So the problem is not that we don't have anything. We are not supporting the things that we do have. If every Black person took their money out of Bank of America, out of SunTrust, out of Wells Fargo, and you put it in BB&T, you put it in Citizens Trust, you guys, we can start influencing. Mr. Real Estate, he told me before, he said, listen, these things were happening systemically. They weren't giving out loans. Yeah, you're using their banks. They do what they want with their money, right? This is the reality, you guys. So the problem is we can complain about what white people are doing all day long when we have everything in front of us. I taught myself how to trade stocks on YouTube 4 years ago. Nothing is holding us back. So the more we keep blaming white people for, this is all us. This is, at the end of the day, everything that we are facing in this moment, 2022, is self-inflicted, right? We give our image away. I can count on one hand how many shows with white people where they're talking about being certified drug dealers, right? How many drug-infested shows do we glorify in our community?
And do we finance those, or does somebody else in a different community finance those and greenlight them?
Okay. Well, who signs up to participate?
They're working actors and they need the money. But your point is, I'm not going to go deep.
The reality is who's signing up.
Yeah.
Again, we're talking about pride, right? Because you can't get other cultures to dance around and parade around and look like clowns, put on dresses, right? We make music about poisoning our own community.
Yeah. Okay. Hold on.
And who finances the music? Who owns the record labels?
Okay. I agree with you. But then if you know that, we know that how it's not difficult to start our own, right? It's not difficult.
It's pretty hard to start a multi-billion-dollar record label and get distribution and everything in play to compete with Universal and Def Jam and everybody else. I mean,
agreed.
Yeah, but it's not an easy thing.
And this is the power. And this is the power of boycotting, because all you simply have to do is pull your resources out. We saw it done before. Martin pulled it off. He was very good at it. It took him 365 days to get it done. The problem in our community is, what are we willing to do? Are we willing to make the sacrifice?
And then what happened to Martin?
And then
what happened to Martin afterwards?
Both of you are right.
If it's all mindset, what happened to Martin afterwards? If there's no outside pressures, then what happened to Martin Luther King when he did what you just said?
He was assassinated. He was assassinated. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Suzette.
So is there some way mindset would have saved him from being assassinated?
You guys are both making very valid points. I think you both can be right.
No, we're both.
I think you both can be right. I don't think it's
we're not arguing. We're not disagreeing. He's making a good point. Now he's talking about the power of fear, right? He just brought up something. He's talking about
fear. I'm talking about outside pressures, outside influences. Yes, we can change our mindset. Yes, we can get our dollars together. Yes, we can boycott. But then when we build our own, like Black Wall Street, how do we deal with these military outside invading forces trying to take us out? You are a police. Wait. You are a police officer. Don't tell me you don't understand the art of war and how physical combat plays a role in this. Come on now.
Listen. Now, if we're gonna talk that talk, you got to ride with me. If you want to take the ride, Mr.
I'll drag you out in the deep end.
I will drag you in the deep end.
Don't do it to him, Nathan.
Police officers got a gun, they got a baton, they got a taser, they got mace. They aren't over there trying to disarm people with mindset. Come on.
Forget all that. They got a station. But anyway, so hey,
I'm loving it. Ain't no way. But I just want to get my other two gentlemen involved.
If we're gonna take that ride,
Ooh, child. This is not. Not tonight, brothers. Not tonight.
Not tonight.
Not tonight.
We need to have a Black Power video.
We can do that another night. We're gonna have to do a part 2 because I'm loving it. But y'all just hold that.
Black Party stream at Mr. Real Estate's channel starting 9 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. We will be unfiltered. We can, but now we have to maintain the image that is
y'all want that 5. Y'all want that 5?
Look, I was gonna do that.
Suzette said she about to get a yellow dollar sign on her.
Yeah, listen, y'all keep it kind of mainstream for me if you don't.
Because we're definitely over there, baby. Over there on that Black Men Unfiltered. It's rough.
yes, Black Men Unfiltered. I'm new.
And actually, real quick,
go with me. I'm new to this.
I have to drop down, and I saw that Destination Dad was asking Suzette if more people can come up. So I'll drop down and I'll get out of the backstage so that he can come up and take my spot.
Fantastic.
Mr. Real Estate, always,
guys.
brother.
Until next time.
Thank you, Mr. Real Estate.
Dragging you.
Nathan, me and you need to hop on a stream together, Nathan.
Y'all would be a great
Hey, when you want to make that happen, Nathan?
Hey, anytime next week. Shoot me an email. We'll make it happen.
Okay, all right.
He's gonna be on my show on the 12th.
Okay, I'll be back.
You gotta come over there.
Absolutely. You gotta come over. You gotta come over there where we are.
Apparently I do. Apparently I have to get some
legal. We need some legal to, like, you know what I mean? Like, you gotta kind of go in there.
Yeah.
I'm just meeting you for the first time. I'm late. I want my new gentleman on the panel to address what SuzetteSpeaks has said, which is when it comes to leadership, so many elder men belittle and condescending, I think, to younger men. Who show signs of leadership. Instead of cultivating, they criticize. We have to fix this.
Oh,
so I want to know if that's either of your experiences.
Yes, that's what I was talking about earlier. But go ahead.
Me the other day.
Hold on. We haven't heard from XDMC at all.
Yes, I want to get my new gentleman involved.
Hello, family. How you brothers doing? This has been I've been just in the back listening, in the chat listening. It's been great. what I do want to touch on is the age difference. One of the saddest things that I hear when I'm, let's say, mentoring is when a young brother tells me, thank you, because nobody ever told me that before. And he's in his 20s. And we have to fix that. My generation meaning I'm 56 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And teaching what exactly is the definition of success, teaching financial literacy, and having patience on both ends. Because I have to, it's easy for me to have the patience because of my age in raising two daughters who are now women. Had to have a lot of patience. So I am in that situation, in that position to mentor, to tell you. One of the things that we do is when the young brother comes up and, hey man, you've been married 31 years. You're successful. How did you get there? My response should not be hard work and God. Go about your business, son. And it can't, that's not a blueprint. That is not a blueprint. You have to really, young folks don't want to hear that. They want you to sit down and explain and break it down. How did you get to where you're at? Not that I worked hard for mine, you get yours. Then guess what? The community stops growing. We are no longer a community, we are a neighborhood. And we are, when I look at, and I'm only speaking on my generation, that I want the young generation to understand is that have patience with me also. Because there are things that y'all do that I don't get. When you are breaking down to me that, man, I met this sister, we've been talking for 3 months, I'm starting to feel for her. I'm saying, oh, that's awesome. Have you met her family? No, we only been talking online. See, I can't understand that.
Oh.
Because from my generation, we didn't have it set up like that with the technology and things of that sort.
Yeah.
But I'm going to have patience, and just because I don't understand it, don't make it wrong. But young brother, teach it and explain to me how that can happen. With us sharing our knowledge and mentoring, you had on earlier the brother Before the Billions. And when I met Before the Billions through these YouTube streets, I was impressed. I saw potential. I saw hope for the future. And one of the things that I said to him was, man, your channel and you talking about tech, you need a really cool tech intro. Okay. Yeah, how do I go about that? I got you. And I did his intro for him. And he asked me, what do I owe you? I said, you owe me to keep doing what you're doing. And you pass it on. An intro, and please, this is not an ego or anything what I'm about to say, but you can't afford right now to pay me for what I do for a living.
Yeah.
My stuff, if you watch television and you sit there for 2 hours, you're going to see my work in some commercial.
Wow.
So yeah, I did a little flex there.
Just in case, so let them know.
I want you to, in the success, being successful for me, and what I try to mentor, being successful is not being able to eat in a restaurant with you. Being successful is owning your own restaurant, and you can eat wherever the hell you want to eat. Being successful is me beating cancer through health knowledge, and cancer-free going on next month will be 3 years.
Wow.
When it has taken out literally half of my family.
Jeez.
But they didn't live the way I live as far as diet. And I'm 56 years old, like I said, you know. And
y'all be looking good now. Come on now.
Hey, like Bernard said, I drink my water.
Drink your water.
I drink my water. I don't eat meat, and I have a wife that is ride or die and married 31 years and still drop it like it's hot. That keeps me young.
Oh yes, Doc. Come on,
Okay.
you
Happy
tonight.
wife, happy life.
He preaching tonight. He woke me up on that part. Go ahead, Doc.
It's hard to find one of them out here these days.
Uh-oh.
Dropping it after 30 years. You got some that won't drop it after 30 minutes. Come on. Come on.
Really, that's it. I just really wanted to come on and join in on, because what Real Nation Daily was saying, what Bernard was saying, I'm there. I grew up with the Les Brown. I have Les Brown books. I have cassette tapes. I just don't have no device to play it on. You know, and that's how far back I go with Les Brown. But for me, what you were saying earlier, my mentors, my leadership has been family members, the brothers on the street that are doing wrong, who saw something in me to say, you have a gift to get out of here. They looked after me, and they all gave me the best of themselves to make sure that I made it out. So therefore now I go back and I contribute, I mentor, I give. What I love with our young brothers and sisters doing this whole George Floyd thing, they were in those streets. And when they were in those streets, it allowed and showed something to the company that I work for, one of the largest advertising agencies in the world, not just also having my own. And they said, we got to do something. What can we do? We trying to recruit. We try to recruit Black people to hire. I am the only creative director of color in an agency that's global. And I said, okay, I got the solution for you. You want to put the money up? First of all, stop going to colleges where we don't go to. Start recruiting from colleges that look like me. And start going to the high schools and start letting them know what kind of careers they can have, what a project manager is, what an account manager is, what an art director is, not just and have those career days. And guess what? They did. And I've hired them. And it's working. And that all comes from them young folks in them streets doing that protest when the world was still and paused. And we all had to watch that.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm just speaking from my experience and for what has happened with the company that I'm connected to. In the neighborhood, Bedford-Stuyvesant, Brooklyn, One Up, that I go back to. Those schools. My generation.
It's a good word. It's a good word. I'm going to drop the link one more time. I am grateful for you, XDMC, dropping knowledge. I'm glad they ain't got to pay you to do the work that you do. No one could afford it, apparently. Destination Dad, you're welcome to come up.
But before I say that, one thing I'll say, even though I did Gail's intro also. I did
you need to do mine then, because Gail's
for the Billions intro. I don't want all y'all reaching out to me.
Well,
ask me to do it. If you
hold on, XDMC, hold on, XDMC, can you please throw your link in the private chat so I can get that? Listen, XDMC, check it out. My situation, I have a nonprofit. So, you know, you do mine, that's a whole tax write-off.
Yeah,
brother.
but I didn't even know. I didn't even know until today.
You know what else do? Yeah, like he's been just doing. I'll come up under your mentorship, bro. Just show me that.
That's what we saying. That's what we saying.
Right. There's a barter.
My email.
There's a barter system going on. There's a barter system. And so XDMC, if you got to get rid of some tax dollars, brother, holla at your boy. So real quick, I want to touch on what XDMC stated, and then I got to run out.
No, we're gonna wrap up by 9. Y'all going strong, but we're gonna wrap up by 9.
All right, so
I know you gotta go. And the last call, anybody want to come up now? Go ahead, sir.
All right, so what XDMC stated is so, I think it's there's so much value in what he stated, is that, you know, we can be what we all have our own gifts, right? You know, I've been a police officer. That's my skill set. That's one of my skill sets. I can operate in that space, right? I can speak on those things. All of us have our own unique gifts, and I think the power of being present. I think we're not really paying attention to that piece. We have to be in a position of power, right? We have to be and place ourselves. When we talk about leadership, right? Men and women, as long as we put ourselves in that position, we can then look after those who aren't there. And like he said, they look, hey, how do you solve this problem? Here's how you do it, right? Because I know my own people. I can speak on that. And when we're not present, you guys, we can't make an impact. So we can do a lot of complaining. I tell people all the time, you don't like the police, that's fine. Sign up, right? We're looking for Black officers. So sign up. So you can't complain again. You can't complain about white folks and then you ask them to patrol your communities, right?
Them no join Babylon. Them no one.
Right. But but here's the thing, right? Here's the thing. So that's the biggest problem. So here's the issue. If you want to make change, put yourself in a position of power so you can do so. And so what I did, and I think this is important, I'm gonna share because I haven't told people much about this. I would pray for the people I'm putting in handcuffs. We would have conversations on our way to the jail. I use that as an opportunity to mentor them, speak life into them, right? I would tell them, say, hey, even though you're here in this, I'm locking you up for robbery, armed robbery, or burglary, right? Or assault, whatever it is. This doesn't define you. You can still change your life around. You can still make a difference, right? So these are opportunities. I find time to plant seeds into our own people and to encourage them that outside of this obstacle that you're facing, because look, we got to be held accountable for our actions, but you can still turn this around. Don't give up on yourself. So I use that as an opportunity. I see our people get involved in things, they get themselves in trouble, and I'm present and I can use my discretion to soften the blow, right? Where you might have someone who doesn't look like me say, I'm gonna charge them with 8 of these counts. I'm like, nah. I'm gonna charge them with 3, right? Those things matter, you guys. They matter and they make a big impact. I had a case where a guy had 4 dime bags of marijuana. And my coworker, who's white, wanted to charge him with intent to distribute. And I said, for 4 dime bags? You're going to give him a felony for 4 dime bags? He said, yeah, I think he's selling because he got a lot of money. I said, well, he don't have a wallet. That's why he got all that cash in his pocket. Well, his 4 dime bags, I believe he's selling. I said, no, I think he has 4 friends that he bought those dime bags for. And you see the difference. If we are not present, we can't make those type of decisions, right? We can't have that impact. So there's power in being present in these positions of power. And even like in Suzette's situation, I said this on TLA's channel, that, we complain again about the criminal justice system, but we don't want to put ourselves in it to have an impact. And according to the American Bar Association, 5% of attorneys in this country are African-American, only 5%. Mm-hmm. And so when you look at that, and it's less for women, Black women. So again, where's the problem, you guys? We got to get up. We need to sign up and shut up.
All right. Yeah. Links was in the back.
Let me say this real quick. I'm gonna say this real quick.
Nathan Daly
what our brother just said there, as far as putting ourselves in a position.
Yes.
And we all have positions to play.
Yes.
One of my positions, me being in advertising, every time, and it happens all the time, and design an ad or commercial come across my desk, and Black folks are in it, but there's no Black man.
How they market?
There's no father.
Right.
Guess what? I'm there now.
Yep.
I'm sorry. I don't want to put that in, but y'all notice that most of the marketing with Black people is always an interracial couple now?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
Okay, I thought it was just my timeline.
Yep, by design.
Let me give you an example of that. When before I got in the position that I'm in, when now I have the power to say, no, we're not doing this. If it's a mother in the household, Black family, I want a Black father in there. Now, before I got specific with it, I saw a design in the ad for that. They put it across, it came across my desk, but I didn't have the power to say yay or nay. But I said, can a father be in a household? All right, we're going to put one. when I saw that commercial on TV and I saw the father was Asian, I said, wow, okay, they listened to me, but wow, okay. So now, but like Real Nathan was saying, put yourself in the position of power to make those decisions. It does not get past my desk at all.
I love it, and Nathan makes so many good points. I can't even, because we're gonna respect time. I see. Yeah, go ahead. I see you. Go ahead. And I want to bring Simcia on links. I saw you in the back. Destination Dad, I saw you in the back. Come through. You gotta go, Nathan. I see you. Thank you. But go ahead, sir.
All right, so
I appreciate you guys.
Hey, I see.
Can't wait to see you on my channel February 12th.
That's what's
Can't
up. We're
wait.
Gonna do it.
Y'all go ahead and subscribe. Y'all see the name. Y'all see the name. Big up,
hey, yes,
Real
sir.
Nathan Daily for spending time with us. All right, respect, sir. Thank you.
Respect.
Thank you very much.
All right, Nathan, man, I'll send you that email, brother.
All right, bro.
All right, take it easy.
I'll say this too, man, so I can move out the way and let somebody else come up too, man. I think everybody should have their voice heard. I think that I'm gonna get a little rough, and I know people. And this is not gonna be sexy, and it's okay. I think that we don't know how to pass the baton. I think when you're on a highway, you have to know what exit you're getting off on, or you're just driving for no reason. And I think that a lot of our community, we have a lot of leaders that have been on the road for a long time, and they have not gotten and they don't know how to get off on their exit. And let me give up a few people here, and I know this is not going to be sexy, but Al Sharpton is I had to look his age up. Al Sharpton is 68 years old. Jesse Jackson is 78 years old. Right now, who on this panel can tell me who's coming up behind them? Who are they passing the baton to? I'll wait. If Jesse left here today, who's going to take his position of power? Who is he conditioning for that leadership role? Who is Al Sharpton conditioning for the leadership role? Or have they gotten so comfortable in the black toxicity that they become opportunists and they don't want nobody to have the power that they have while they're living? I'm gonna leave that alone.
I'm tempted to say Ben Crump.
Well, just really quickly, they're incentivized by the money. So
absolutely. That's what he's saying. That's his exact point. They ain't moving out the way. They trying to get it for the great grandchildren now.
Right. It's for them. They want to take the money to the grave. But we ain't
absolutely. And somebody just said Ben Crump, same thing. He getting on TV. Hey, everybody, we was in the courtroom early morning, and they told her that she was gonna get off and everything.
I like Ben. Ben is a colleague. I know Ben.
I understand. But Ben is an opportunist as well. I see Ben. If there's no camera around, you don't see Ben.
That's my dog. I'm gonna let that ride. That's my dog.
Listen, your characters define what you do when nobody's watching.
Well,
you see Ben, every time you see Ben, he has to be seen in order for him to be effective. He's an opportunist, Jesse Jackson, all these guys, they may have started out well, but they've been corrupted by a system that pays them, and now they're riding on the money. Jesse Jackson has Parkinson's.
Jesse had the Rona. Jesse had the Rona. I was they gonna give Jesse the Rona and take Jesse out. Like,
he just had the owner.
Can he be at home? They still got him out here. It's crazy. I mean, your point is taken.
Yeah, and speaking of Martin Luther King, I'll say this, and I'm gonna be done because, man, even speaking of Martin Luther King, even after Martin Luther King was deleted, because I want to,
yes,
I don't know if I can
respect my channel. Thank you.
Yeah, deleted. Jesse Jackson had some of that on his shirt, right? It is a fact. After he did that, Jesse Jackson left the scene. 2 days later, was in front of a camera with that same shirt on, with that all over it. And he was in front of a camera 2 days later. Now you tell me that's not opportunist. Bernard knows what I'm talking about. 2 days later, you're traveling around the country with the shirt on that got Martin Luther King's stuff on it.
Yeah.
He's been an opportunist for a long time and probably has something to do. I'm not gonna let him leave it alone.
Okay. Ease off. Just for me.
Bernard, I'm sorry.
We talking about leadership transfer, and your point is being made. That is folks that don't know that they have reached the stop or a couple stops before the stop where they need to be actively mentoring and passing the baton. I realize this also within local politics. where we are, Miami, Lauderdale, Palm Beach, the people stay in office long. Like it's almost like the one millennial that went to Congress. Big up my homegirl Sheila Shirtless McCormick, beat a bunch of Xers / boomers, but she had to have $1 million of almost more than that of her own money to do it. And we was like, finally, a young Haitian American, finally made it to Congress to represent a large swath of what would be the Fort Lauderdale County seat and up to the West Palm Beach County seat. But it was a fight, and she had to have her own finances. Thank goodness she owns a healthcare company. But if you were a regular Joe Schmo just trying to step out there, I have experience. I've worked a little bit. I want to give back. I want to serve on my county commission. I want to serve in my city. I want to serve, baby. It's like, wait your turn, step back, and no one wants to even crack the door because they're afraid of you. They're afraid of you. They haven't made their money yet. I'm just saying, not everybody. But I've seen it myself where I'm like, oh, okay. Was that like a deterrent, or you just don't want me to run because you really think I'm not ready? Like, I don't know. Sometimes you do have to question some of these motives. And I think it took them, I can just speak for example, in the law, there's attorneys that it has taken a long time to figure out the what a money is, how to get the bag in this industry. And I think there can be, intergenerationally speaking, this feeling that it took me forever to figure it out. I don't want to give you the formula too easy. I want you to struggle. I want you to earn it. I want you to kind of like, suffer the way I suffered for my 20 and 30 years that it took me to understand the game. Again, I don't see how that benefits a community. But you have people that's holding on to, quote unquote, the secret. God gonna reveal it anyway. I'm good. You know what I mean? I'm sorry, I'm not speaking about anybody personally, but
hey, can I say this real quick?
Go ahead.
Before I leave, I'm gonna say this.
Yes, sir.
Even Steve Harvey, and that's why I don't fool with him either. Because even Steve Harvey, a young man walked up to Steve Harvey on the sidewalk and he said, "Hey, Mr. Harvey, hey, listen, I'm thinking about being a comedian. I've been looking up to you, man. I used to sneak and watch you on Def Comedy Jam." He said, "Man, what pointers can you give me, becoming an upcoming, stand-up comic?" And the young man said it broke him down so bad. Steve Harvey turned to this man and said, "Listen, I got mine. You go get yours, bro. I had to come up the hard way. You come up the hard way. I ain't finna give you no tips. You figure it out."
So where do we go from here? What do
that's what I'm saying.
do?
That's what I'm saying. Some of the leaders that we're trusting in, we're plugged. We're connected to the wrong Wi-Fi. We got to start disconnecting from these people that we hold up on a standard, holier than thou. Oh, we got to be connected to Jesse. We got to be connected to Al. We got to be connected. No. There's people right now that's on this platform that ain't on the star level, but they're on a level to help. Just like what's his name? He just left. XDMMC. I helped this young man. Without this young man, I'm not charging this young man nothing. You go to Steve Harvey, he'll probably charge you a fee. If you go to Al Sharpton, well, I'll come out there, but it's got to be at least 2 dead. I can't come out there unless it's these two. You have these people are opportunists. They're opportunists, and we need to disconnect from them. We're connected to the wrong Wi-Fi, and then we wondering why we don't have a connection.
Man, that's a whole show.
Yep.
I'm
sorry, guys.
Your point,
I'm
no,
sorry.
no. You've spoken your mind, and I hear you loud and clear. And it's a lot of food for thought. And there are people you see, Real Nathan Daly had to drop out, but he's still leaving the fire emoji. He's like, "Go ahead, Black Man Unfiltered Network." So thank you for being up here, man.
Yeah, and
thank you. And I want to connect with you offline.
Absolutely.
As we plan, a follow-up or two. Like I said, this definitely deserves a part 2.
Absolutely.
With so many voices that is still yet to be heard. So thank you for being here. I'll catch up with you offline. Y'all see his name. Go subscribe, Black Man Unfiltered Network. Thank you for being here tonight.
Absolutely. Thank you.
All right. Yeah. We're going to bring up links and Simsia. Have a great night. Thank you.
Real quick, Suzette.
Yes, go ahead.
Touching up on the challenges is just as Nathan was mentioned before, it's really it's 3 things. It's the man in the mirror, and I brought some visual aid here.
Let me get you on one-on-one. Hold on. Let me get you one-on-one. I saw it in the background.
I mentioned the man in the mirror, but the second thing is what we're not doing is fighting the power and doing the right thing.
I love it. From Miss Master Miko. I love the illustration as well. Simsia and Links, welcome to the panel, y'all. Good to see you. Thanks for making time, my brothers. I'm going to go right to you and just hear what y'all thoughts are on tonight's conversation. Simsia, we'll start with you. How you doing?
How y'all doing? Can you hear me?
Yes, sounding great. Tell me. Sorry. Wrong button. I get so excited. Tell me. Introduce yourself to the people, please.
How you doing? I'm Sincere. I'm a young man. I'm a millennial as well, and I'm just a young man who's passionate about the younger generation. You know, I think that there's tremendous value that you can gain from reaching back to the younger generation and giving them an opportunity to skip some steps, that the bumps and bruises that you might have experienced. You know, giving them the cheat code a little bit to give them an opportunity to propel themselves forward. So my primary objective here on YouTube is to give the young men the game, and that's what I'm here for.
Love it. Tell us some of your thoughts on tonight's conversation about the new generation and the senior generation and the exchange of ideas when it comes to leadership. What are your thoughts?
I think that a lot of the younger guys, they really presented some valid points about how there's a paywall that's been put forward between the information between the older generation and the younger generation, and they feel like it's something that shouldn't be the case. It should be almost like an olive branch that's being extended and giving them an opportunity to, like I said, skip some steps and put themselves in position. And I agree with what Gaston's Rail said, that when it's a competition between a young man and an older man for the same group of individuals, it makes it difficult for them to fully advocate for them to go ahead and go out there and extend themselves as being viable candidates for family building and really just being stand-up men in general. But one thing that I've observed, and I don't think I've heard it mentioned, and which is interesting, there was an article that came out in the last day or so, and it spoke to the economics within the community, and it said that the black people have been spending approximately, in 2021, they spent about $1.3 trillion. But then they said that the black net worth had declined in that same exact time. And so one of the things that I think is a primary point of concern is that we really have to be careful about how we continue to look like we're rich when the numbers are saying otherwise. I understand that as far back as 1953, there's been a conscious effort to market the black people in a specific manner because of the accrued disadvantage that's happened throughout time. So it's just really important that we really understand that we're already starting out from behind the mark. And whatever we have to do, we have to figure out a way in order for us to put ourselves in position, because we cannot walk around expecting ourselves to look as wealthy or as opulent as the other communities. We just have to figure out a way from an economic standpoint to put on our masks first, and then allow ourselves to put on our children's mask and then our community's mask thereafter. But we can't continue to allow the people who are really focused on self-interest first and then not really allowing other people to come and enjoy the fruits of all the work that's been done leading up to now. But I just think that it's like a huge disadvantage. It's a lot of people who are really focused more on their primary interest or personal interest and not really like the community at large.
Absolutely. So you seeing it in the younger generation and millennials not, what should I say, not being aware of the values, I guess, that leadership requires in terms of money, discipline, those type of things?
No, I think they're disregarding the older generation. Honestly, I think that they're creating their own rules and they've allowed themselves to carve their own lanes, on their path to success. They're not waiting and expecting the older generation to open the path for them. They're just saying, "Hey, look, I can become a millionaire before I'm 30 as well. I don't need you in order for you to open up the pathway for me. I can figure it out." Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, mm-hmm. and I respect it. I fully respect it, and I think that you have to. I'm 37, so I think you have to be humble enough to know that you're not going to know everything. And then, there's a saying that says, you're never too old to learn, and then you're never too young to teach. So yeah, I mean, we should move with that type of humility, and I think there's a lot to gain from that experience.
Thank you. Links, what say you? Links, a long time in a seal. Wagwan. How are you? Links, I can't hear you. You're talking and you're not muted, but I don't hear you. I don't hear you. Sir.
Yeah,
Links in the
been,
building. There
been,
you go. How you doing?
been busy time. You can't hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now. I can hear you now. I can hear you now. I think there's a
Can you
little
hear
bit
me
of a
now?
lag. Yes, I think there's a little bit of a
Can you hear
lag.
me?
But what are your thoughts? Yes, you're good. What are your thoughts? I think there's a little bit of a delay.
Okay. 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 Some of the uh, I guess civil rights groups and dealing with them personally. I'm a little disheartened because we should be in a further place than we are now. I mean, how it should work is what one generation has received as seed, the next generation should receive as blossom, and the next generation should receive as fruit. There, what I'm seeing now. I'm 51, and what I'm seeing now is there is and I don't know what it is. Something with technology and YouTube, and specifically that the ears are open now for this I'd say this wisdom transfer, that they're willing to hear it now where they weren't willing to hear it before. So I'm heartened. I'm heartened by that. I'm kind of disheartened in the sense of we've lost the sense of community. Um, I'm I'm concerned with the comfort that we live in now, and that comfort has um, caused us to not really have this go get attitude. We desire comfort more than we desire change, and we've got to really work on that. But the ears are open. You know, I like the adage that says when the student is ready, the teacher will appear now, and the teachers are here. Their ears are open, and I see a lot of our generation now are embracing this form of technology, YouTube, and I think there's going to be a light speed jump here in the next 5 to 10 years with this wisdom transfer that's going to take place with these younger cats.
I love it. And Links, I think, like I said, there's a little bit of a delay, but we hear you loud and clear. I think the YouTube space is closing that gap. The lead attorney is 100% right when he talks about men over 40, really, and be sure that that you're going to, impact people in a sphere that is super, super intimate and in a way that is going to help them beyond, the coffee and the drink, beyond the ways in which we try to make it this, what should I say, this big introduction of information. You could sit right here. You could sit right here and have an impact on somebody. You could sit right here and teach somebody something new. You could sit right here and be a part of like a deep conversation such that it impacts the next generation. And it's so, so important that we do not take it for granted and we do not take it lightly. There are so many people yearning, as we have been hearing tonight, for the mentorship. So many people yearning for the answers. So many people yearning for the ability to gain that wisdom that has been so elusive. And we have an opportunity in this space to break that cycle. If we're saying that it went off the rails between the boomers and the Gen Xers, and now we're all looking around like, okay, who is the keeper of the flame? We really have to stop and we have to say, we are now going to be the solution. We are now going to open up the floodgates for those who want it to get the information, to get credible, valuable, truthful information. This is what this space is about. So we really, 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 really got to be passionately, what should I say, very, very strategic about how we use this space, about what we are designing our platforms to do, because the ears are listening, the spirits are hungry, the people want the information, and they're not looking, as Dr. Thunder said, in the traditional spaces where we had it from the church for a long time, where we had it in the barbershops for the longest, where we had it in the home for the longest. We have to be open. We have to be ready. We have to be nurturing. We have to have our spirit, ready to give and receive, regardless of age, right? We are taking up this space. Thank God. This is our time. But we have to also be ready to, learn, as we are also hopefully going to be giving the folks of the crossroads between Gen X and Millennials. We have to be present, right? Because people need it. People need it. Men and women need it in the most important ways. So I'm grateful for all of y'all. I'm going to allow everybody to give one final word, and then we're going to sign off. I appreciate I'm going to do a number 2 to this. I'm going to do a part 2 to this. Thank you for being a part of it. We'll start with you, Gaston's World.
All right. So thanks so much for having me up, Suzette. I think this was an excellent conversation. I'm glad that all the men who came on the panel, the men who are on the panel now, had made some great points. And this is a great opportunity for us to move the conversation forward now. I know we all respect your platform, and so we've kept it PG. We've all kind of reeled back our thoughts and, said what we wanted to say, but not, So I am going to have an after show to your show, Suzette.
Awesome. Gaston say he gonna keep it 100. Thank you.
We gonna talk about it because
awesome.
this is the only way that we can move our community forward, is by having these conversations. So I'm absolutely encourage everybody, after Suzette ends her show, come on over to my channel. I'll put the link to the video in the description so we can continue the conversation. And I look forward to your part 2, because I think that once we come back, we all had this conversation today, and it's raw, it's new. And it was not new, but, we never had this conversation. Now we have. So now when we come back, we're gonna have a really good dialogue between us all. So thanks so much for having me up. And I'll talk to you soon.
Appreciate it. Thank you, Gaston. All right, go ahead, Mr. Bernardes. Thank you. And I see you, Simon Hector. You coming in? Are you gonna round me out? Thank you.
All right. I just wanted to say to everybody in the chat, everybody that came up, I'm gonna leave it like this, and it's part of my solution. You all somebody to somebody. So always work on being to be and not to be. Always work on being your best self, even when you don't feel like it. And always realize and know that we all need you to survive. That's all I got.
Thank you. Thank you, Bernard. As a pleasure as always. Can't wait for your channel to be up. Let's go, Mixmaster Miko. What you got?
Hey, thank you again, Suzette, for this wonderful panel, inviting all of us. Great discussion that's much needed. Really appreciate that. Just round things off, that we just need to find a way to come together, do the right thing. And when we say fight the power, first we have to understand who is the power we have to fight, and we have to do this strategically in order to get somewhere. Like you made a funny mention about your reparations from the U.S., but your reparations have to come from Britain, mine have to come from France. So we have to get there, but we'll get there. We've been through revolutions. We fought our freedom, whether it was here on the soil in the States, whether it was in the islands. We've done this before. There's nothing new in the sun. We know how to do it. We just have to go back and remember everything's there. It's written.
We are resilient people.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
We are resilient people. Appreciate you being a part of this program. Keep doing your thing, sir. Simon Hector, what's up? I'm going to give Simcia the last word. Thank you, Mixmaster Miko. Simon Hector, you're coming through kind of late, my brethren from the UK. Wagwan.
Yeah, what are you saying?
Medea.
Yeah, peace to the panel. Sincere, Suzette, Mixmaster, and the islands, and the US.
Yeah.
We're all in here. you know, the whole versus thing in regards to sort of like old and new school, I just think we need to sort of get our bucks together.
Yeah.
And we will, you know, it's just a matter of conversation and collaboration. So I know I've got a minute or two. So maybe I'll come on the part 2 and speak more extensively on that subject. But I thank you for the grace and the whole live today, and in fact the whole I think that the last 2 lives were just ultimate, ultimate, you know. So like, yeah, stay in tune, locked, live, peace. Suzette speaks, and she does it. Yeah, you take care.
Appreciate you, my
keep
brother.
doing your thing, man. Take care of yourself. Stay healthy, people, man.
Thank you.
Stay healthy.
Awesome. Thank you, Simon Hector, all the way from the UK, showing some love. Thank you for coming up. Thank you, my brother. And to Simsia, what say you? Thank you, Mixed Master Miko. I'm gonna go ahead and drop you down. Thank you for being here tonight. Simsia, you have the final word. What say you?
Excuse me. Yeah, so thank you for having this conversation. You know, this is important. I think it allowed plenty of the men to be heard, the young men, the older men. They were able to maybe clarify their position, clear up some misconceptions. And I think it was great. I think everyone had an opportunity to at least see where we could meet in the middle and where we could bridge the gap. So this is great. Thank you for doing this. I saw you sweating a little bit at times, you know.
They keep me on my toes, but I just think it's important because I've seen a lot of voices in the Black community that I don't think represent us. I really don't. And I've seen a lot of people in this space that I admire. So I really wanted to create an open dialogue where no matter if we don't agree, it's okay not to, but we can be heard, we can be seen. And I think this example of the type of Black men I know exists is so powerful in and of itself. So I'm grateful to that. I'm grateful for you. Can't wait to have you on. We got to schedule a date, my friend. I am excited to have you when we're ready. So maybe even next week. We never know. But grateful to all the panelists who were on tonight. Those of you who have been in the chat, just giving us, you know, your feedback, your voice, all the beauty that you have to offer in terms of your experience and what you know to be truth. That's what we're here to give the people a nugget of truth or two. The various opinions exist, but we know truth when we hear it. So the accountability process is happening. The brothers have spoken. We have more to talk about, way more to talk about than even what we discussed tonight. But I believe that this was a wonderful, wonderful foundation to understanding that there are, you know, I think we want the same thing. There are some differences, but we want the same thing, which is, to me, the community to thrive and to live up to its fullest potential. So I want to appreciate y'all. Thank you to RM. Thank you to Sunbreeze, all of my moderators, Gale at Night, Gaston's World, all the panelists. Thank you to all my special guests. Y'all made this an incredible. This is better than I even had envisioned it. So appreciate y'all. Thank you. Come on over to Patreon, says RM. Appreciate all of my new members. Let me just highlight them one more time, Cincy. I'm going to drop you down. Thank you, my brother. And I'll be seeing you very soon over here on my channel. Thank you. Once again, show some love if you have it already. Thank you to everybody who's been here riding with me on the super chats. Thank you very much for all the Cash Appers. Thank you so much for supporting. If you like this type of content, if you want us to keep going in this direction, I'm trying different topics, y'all. I'm talking about love. I'm talking about relationships. I'm talking about more serious stuff. I'm going to go back into legal a little bit, but I'm trying to do all of this to gain a sense of what the people want. Right? This YouTube is a labor of love, and we are, you know, spending time. We send out the emails, we put up with the stuff, we make the graphics, we do all this stuff, and it's a part of the new job here I'm undertaking. But what I'm really appreciative of is the support. If you are getting something out of it, if it is building you, if it's edifying you, if you appreciate this type of content, help by giving a donation, support the channel, show some love. Big up to all of the men. Ooh, ooh, ooh. My heart is fluttering. Thank you so much. Your voice is welcome here. We're going to continue. Like I said, I can only be an arbiter in a sense, but I'm a listener more than anything, because we need the men to have the community be to its fullest strength. So thank you to everybody who came over, everybody who came up, to my newest. So I'm going to give it to, I think, sorry, I said the show sponsors. What I really wanted was the new Patreon members also. Thank you to Friendsgiving, Miss AKA Lady, and Mr. K Robertson, who came over and joined the Patreon. Y'all, thank you for holding me down. Thank you so much to all of my Patreon members. We're going to go live on February, I believe it's 12th, with Wealth Engineering. We're going to do some personal development work, right? So appreciate it. Thank y'all who was up with me late, almost till 2 a.m. for the last stream on Tuesday about Miss Chesley Christ. Respect to her, remembering her. It did something for me. So thank y'all for rocking with me who were up. Again, I started that stream at maybe 11 at night and didn't get to bed to probably like 3, but it was new. And I wanted to see if the time made any difference to you guys too. So I appreciate it. And I love y'all. I appreciate, again, the discourse. It just makes me smile from an inner, oh my gosh, an inner place. The discourse is a beautiful thing. What we do here is what we do, I try to do in my life, which is to elevate the understanding between people and elevate the understanding of yourself. It starts from within. Leadership, everything we've talked about starts from within. I agree with Kid Nardak. It has to have a spiritual element to begin with. It has to have a spiritual element to begin with. If we don't start there, we're lost. If we don't start there, we're lost, right? And then from that foundation, we get the discipline, right? We get the character building, the integrity that goes into leadership. It's not a money thing. It's not just because you made $1 million, you're a leader and all that, right? Interesting discussion. I'm going to go ahead and get some, I like to eat after my, I'm going to go to Gaston's World. It's two people going live, Dr. Thunder and Gaston's World. So support all of the content creators that y'all have heard here. I appreciate you. I appreciate you. I appreciate all of y'all for making this a fantastic stream. So on your way out, hit the like button. Y'all, I appreciate y'all showing love with the Cash Apps. I appreciate all again. The super chats. Oh, y'all hit me with a super chat on the way out. Oh my goodness. Let me read them. Thank you. All of you. Love you back too, sis. Jill's Chocolate. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you. The Patreon, very, very, very affordable to support the content, and you get some good content. So it's equal opportunity. Yes, the men made such great points. Where's my super chats? Thank you for supporting Ebony. Woo! Thank you. Part 2 gotta come. Based on this response, part 2 gotta come. I think we was almost at like 100 live at one point. That's amazing. And we stayed pretty decent in the 80s. People was watching live, man, and not only watching, participating. So appreciate you, Ebony. Thank you for showing love. And who else do I see? Appreciate you. Thank you for staying with me. 153 likes live. I think that's like a first for me. That's huge. Except for when TLA was over here. That's huge. Thank you so much. Let me see. Why I can't get the super sticker? Hold on. Let me see. Thank you again, Simon, coming through. He's talking about let. Maybe I need to go up. Friendsgiving. Thank you, Friendsgiving. I actually think Mr. Real Estate, it would be Destination Dad was a sponsor of today's stream. Thank you, Destination Dad. Friendsgiving says, great show, Suzette. Looking forward to a part 2. Listen. Ladies want what's best for our men, period. Real women do, period. So the health and strength, mental health and wellness, all of that is important, right? Because yes, we need each other. I'm going to stick to that. We need each other for this community to thrive and be what it's supposed to be. Big up yourself, Friendsgiving. Trish, I had seen you. Thank you very much with the pounds. Thank you, Trish. Thank you, Friendsgiving. Thank you to Destination Dad, the sponsor of the stream. Thank you so much to all of you for showing some love. I appreciate y'all very, very much for being here. Yes, they say we want... You want to get in my business? You want to get maybe on Patreon. Maybe on Patreon. My patrons can get a behind the scenes. We had a fun time. I went behind the scenes on Tuesday with my Patreon only at an event. I hope y'all enjoyed that. And like I said, we got some work to do over here. You don't owe me no apology. What is that for? I didn't see the precursor to this, so I don't know what it is. Love and support Black men, says Ebony. Of course. Happy wife, happy life. Thank you. All these husbands looking for 20 years. Oh, we got to get into that. We got to get into that as its own subject matter. Oh my Jesus. Oh my Jesus. Oh my Jesus. We're not gonna open that can of worms. Big up Destination Dad every time for your support. Thank you so much. Y'all, I hope you enjoyed this. It was fun to me, and I appreciate you guys being a part of my community here. So respect and love. All right, I'm gonna go for real. You know I love a long goodbye. You know I love a long goodbye. You know I love it. Black Man Unfiltered. I will come over. Yes, let's make a plan and come over to your channel. Yes, let's do it. Appreciate you. Official after show, Gaston's World says. Y'all go over, check over on Gaston's World for the after show. All right. Appreciate you all again for being here and sharing in this. You guys are amazing. All right, I'm gonna go for real now. Love you. Leave your comments, flood the comments. I'll leave it open. God bless each and every one of y'all. Okay, big up yourself. Love you, love you, love you. Thank you for a fantastic broadcast because of you. I actually gotta go. I need some water, but so many nuggets, guys. I almost could do just like a show on everything I heard. So thank you, everybody. Thank you. Big up yourself. Once again, Destination Dad for being the sponsor of today. All right. Bye for real. I'll leave it open so you guys can make comments. Bye for real. Thank you, guys.